Yeah. Oh, can you fill me in? Let's talk about it.
Are we leaving this bit in now? Yeah.
Well, look, I was going to say I'm not going to ask you for your names because last time it was the hardest question you've been asked in your life. Like, do you want to introduce yourself? And you looked at me for 30 seconds like, what do you mean? Like,
that's because he was fighting about the earth now.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? What do I mean? Like, who are you? Introduce yourself, man.
No, Mike started. What did you say? My name's Mike.
I said my name.
You start surname.
I said it.
First name, surname.
Yeah.
I thought, all right, Stephen Hill, and then it just started a big old chain. I don't know what's going on. Cool.
So it's been, what did we say? 2 months.
About 2 months. Or so.
2 months, yeah.
2 months. We said we were going to do it monthly. You all did my head in that much. It's taken this long for me.
No, but I think 2 months is good because it gives it more time for stuff to happen.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got our little list. So we've got, what do you want to be called? Because at the moment it's Mitchell Photography. But he wants to be Mitchell Media because he's going to start doing videography and cinematography.
Yeah. It was my missus who noticed Phil Mitchell. She just started cracking up. And I was like, what are you laughing at? I just saw Philip Mitchell, so I didn't even register.
He's dropped in my missus.
Yeah, of course he has.
Steve, have you got any girlfriend, mate?
How long did that take?
World record right there.
Seconds. Matter of
Mate,
seconds.
you're the dating equivalent to a vegan.
That's
just because I have to make it be known
that's
wherever I
offensive
go.
to vegans.
Instantly. I don't care about what can a vegan do? What
I'm gonna get
what
printed on
energy?
t-shirts.
This one.
What energy is a vegan got?
This
to
vegan
fight
can get
me?
up and choke you unconscious in about 30 seconds, but we can on camera or do it outside. I'm joking. It's alright. I'm not precious.
So yeah, what was that? It's not even a record for you. Like that took quite a while for you actually.
It's probably the 5th time you said it publicly today.
Yeah.
On a
Right,
platform.
before we start recording, I think I've already said it about 6 times.
We're already recording. That's going to be in there.
That's the second time.
Yeah.
7 of them all together.
So do you want to tell us about your new missus?
Do we really want to start this way?
No, I like
Just
this. I like this.
like-
Updating what's happened in the last 2 months.
Yeah, so we'll have a little catch up. So when, like you say, when Tyrone steps in and takes her off you,
Tyrone steps in and takes her off
we
me.
can cut these little bits of you talking about how
And
happy
send
you
it
are
to me
daily.
daily, religiously.
Or we
to,
could just put it on Facebook and then just tag you every now and then, comment
Dude,
like,
that would
remember
be
this.
the most evil thing
Remember
anyone's
this.
ever done to
Remember
me.
this, and then every year on memories.
Every year on memories.
I think you would actually do it. That's the worst of it.
Yeah.
At least once for your own sick, twisted comedy.
Let's stick with the she's not going to do that. Let's keep that mentality.
Okay.
So tell me about her. Let's pretend I don't know her, that you've got a
I've
girlfriend.
not even given consent for me to talk about.
Consent's quite an important thing
It's
in
quite
relationships.
very
isn't it?
important. Let's say. She's a good girl, man. She's
Yeah.
a really good girl. Can't lie. Obviously, it might be funny watching this back in 6 months' time and just
Crying
like
into
that bitch.
Yeah.
But for
Big
right
old-
now, she's
yeah.
fucking amazing.
Okay.
And I believe it's gonna continue that way. She's
So
a good girl, man.
Why her?
Why her?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it a quick one. And this actually kind of relates to a conversation I was having with my friend last
I
night.
thought you were going to say
probably-
with her. Like,
she's probably
let me give
used
you
to
a
getting
quick one, and then
for
that
you,
was
yeah.
it. She was won over.
Funny bastard, I can No, it related to a conversation we had with my boys the other week. I was talking about like time. It's the weird relationship human beings have with the concept of time. Like people live in the past, people can live in the present, or some people are forever living in the future. You know, if people live in the past, they're always regretting the past, typically. People have the ability to live in the present. They're not really concerned with the past or the future, just living for the here and now. And people living for the future, always kind of thinking that job that they're going to have or that car they're going to have or whatever. I kind of said, I'm trying to find a way to be in the present, but take the lessons of the past and make sure that they're fine-tuned, that I understand the people that I'm with to know that my future is going to be all right. So if you apply that to her, what I'm talking about is myself. I've had past relationships. I fucked up. I've been a bad guy. I've been a good guy. I've been a confused person. I've just learned, you know what I'm saying? So I've tried to take the lessons of past and apply them to now. And then for future, like, again, I know what I want. So I want to make sure that I've got somebody who is in line with what I want. Now, I did all of these assessments on her without her really realizing, you know, just checking her answers.
Did you have a clipboard?
Yeah,
Not really, like a mental
had
check. Like a mental check.
tick
Yeah,
list.
a mental check, yeah. And I was kind of like just watching how she answered. She's got ambition. She's got humor. She's got a real empathetic character. She's beautiful, man. She ticks all the boxes for what I'm looking for. And so I just need to make sure
Is she
I'm the
partially
person.
sighted?
She is not partially. She does wear contacts. She does wear contacts. She has got
I
impaired vision.
wonder how many of her boxes you tick.
I
Probably
think
say
I'm
less. She's probably slumming it. I'm
Yeah.
guessing.
She's probably just bored. This is lockdown boredom. Probably.
How did you meet her?
Is this all the
Yeah,
Steven
yeah.
show? This ain't the Steven
this
show.
is
I'm just
I've given them. I've given you enough.
No,
I
I'm just
answered your question.
Are you embarrassed to say how you met her?
Yeah, I'm thinking back
I'm
to the last
embarrassed
podcast.
to make this entire thing about the
No,
poor
mate,
girl.
mate,
She's not here
mate,
to
you're-
really.
you're
we can
blowing
all
her up.
agree.
She don't even know if she wants. I don't know if she
We could
wants
all
to be
agree with
spoken
what
about.
you just said. The poor girl. That is how I would describe
She is
her.
a very poor girl dealing with
She's
my
making
ass.
poor decisions.
I am the one that is winning in this situation. She's losing. I get that. I agree with that.
Okay. So speaking of relationships,
Oh, that's a beautiful segue.
Wasn't
That
it?
was.
So chains, anyway.
speaking of relationships.
Speaking of chains,
So the
segue.
last time we was here, you
Oh, you're
just
a
met
dick.
somebody, and it was going okay. You'd not
Yeah.
really spent much. Well, you'd spent much time together, but it was new, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So how's that going?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like a proper relationship now?
No, it's not a proper
All right,
relationship.
okay.
No.
Just taking things slow.
Yeah, COVID and everything. Don't you be touching my knee. Keep your dirty bossy off
was there
lad.
consent there for that touch?
Yeah, good segue.
Have you just been me too'd?
Don't give her an opportunity
I
to get
hate
out
you.
of this. Go on, carry on.
No, I think something that I've discussed quite a bit as well, and I think everyone can appreciate COVID. It's not real life. I mean, I know COVID is, but I mean, the situations. I work a hell of a lot. So to get into a relationship in the lockdown time wasn't appropriate because whatever relationship we got into, if we did, I couldn't then carry that on forever. Like they wouldn't have as much of my time as they would have had in lockdown. So I need to get back to work and back to me to know what time I have in my life for somebody else.
Yeah, makes sense. I think a lot of people have made that mistake, taking lots of stuff on, whether it's sort of pets or animals, relationships or things like that, and not realising that at some point, like, everything's going to be normal again.
Yeah.
And then where does that fit in with how your life used to be?
But then what's going to be normal again there? Maybe this is like normal.
See, I
agree.
get that. I think, look, I was seeing someone about 4 or 5 months ago, and
I never saw anything about that on Facebook.
because there was nothing really to talk about.
Okay.
But she wanted to try and move it forward into being something. And I went, no. Not because she wasn't a good girl. You know, she was a nice girl and whatever. But it was like she was coming at it from a bad place. I didn't realize this when I first started talking to her. It was only like once we'd had a couple of meetups and shit. I realized she was in a bad headspace, bad life space. And it's like, for her to try and start something in a bad place, I don't think that's not a good foundation to start anything.
That's quite a good thing to do, because a lot of blokes might have just gone, you know what, let me just get as much out of this as I can, because if she's in that situation, it could have been some men would try and take advantage of. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
I respect that you didn't.
Yeah, and I respect you. Respect me for that. Well,
Straight away. We got the
Straight
fist bump
away. We
right.
got it
Got it
down,
right this
brothers.
time, straight
First
away.
time.
I think last time we missed the fist bump.
Well, it's not the
didn't we?
first time. That's about the 8th time.
It's not the
really,
8th
isn't it?
time in total, but the first
Yeah.
time.
I mean, you two have fist bumps. I have his hand on my knee, so you know.
Lucky you, huh?
Who's really winning?
Listen,
I've got the
Before-
image. I've got the image of Phil with his belly out and a chain on,
Before
burned into my
this
brain.
started-
Listen,
I
everyone-
was-
we want to address this.
Before this started, you was talking about that
Phil's
picture
doing
with
everything.
love in your eyes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Say that one more time.
Absolutely.
The way that she was talking about that picture before we started.
Which picture?
the picture, of, you know.
Which one is specific? Phil?
So,
Can we get
That's
a picture
gonna
up
be
on the
on
The
screen?
BDSM picture.
I'll put a picture up on the screen.
Male
That's no
erotica.
problem at all. We're going to come back to that anyway, because I do want to talk about that. But we have got a list of things that we do want to talk about.
Yes.
So I seen a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger in out of shape, and oh, look at Phil, he's on it. Look.
Wow.
So the problem.
on
The
this.
problem with this is, it's not just a picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger out of shape. It's a picture of him side by side with him probably 50 years before.
Well, that's like
In
from the
shape.
70s, isn't it? 70s,
Yeah.
80s.
And it's like a comparison, and it's sort of why can we not just let him be a 70-year-old man
But then we're getting a taste of what women have to deal with as men, right? Like the
But
whole
there's women
maintaining
as
a
well.
body image.
I mean, you've got the opposite. So Vin Diesel, there was a picture of him, and he was out of shape, and he said, in between films, I don't want to be training every day. I want to eat whatever I want to eat. I want to be normal, and whatever I want to do, I want to be my own boss when I'm not filming, when I don't have to be in shape. But the opposite side, you've got Adele. And she's lost so much weight, and now everyone's like, wow, look how amazing she looks. Adele was beautiful.
Mate, I preferred her as a big girl.
This is my point. So we're praising people for all this weight loss and saying, look how amazing you look now. So we're saying that she didn't look amazing.
It's a difficult
before.
one, isn't it? It's a difficult one because there's a difference between shaming someone for being big or shaming someone for being too skinny. But it's a difficult one to look at, isn't it? Because it's rather than looking at, I think she said that like she was unhealthy, which is why she made the choice,
right,
to do it. So I think there's a difference between fat shaming people and.
But a person doesn't
kind of
fat shame
health
themselves. What I'm saying is the way
She
that these
did though,
pictures are
didn't she?
put out is like, look how brilliant he looked here, but now look at him. And with Adele, it's look how awful she looked, but now because she's lost weight, look how amazing she looks. And the guy from the stoner guy from
that rounds it down.
he was in Blow, the big guy in Blow.
Oh yeah, he was in My Name Is Earl as well. He's got jacked.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's always been known as the big fat
big fat guy,
actor.
Was it Randy from My Name Is Earl?
And he was
his
in
brother?
like Jay and Silent Bob or something like that.
No,
If
I
it's-
No,
remember-
you're thinking,
remember
you're
him
thinking of
from,
Kevin Smith. He was in,
American History X. He was in
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
he
yeah,
was,
yeah,
yes. He played Seth. I watched that
Yeah.
recently.
So now he's absolutely massive, like
Yeah, he's
proper
jacked.
gym big, and everyone's like, look at this amazing transformation, look how brilliant he looks. And it's like, why was he not enough before? Do you know what I mean?
But then I think it's a tricky one because he wasn't healthy before. So now, like, he's put all the work in and he's healthier. He will be healthier now. Do you know what I mean? Because when we are dealing with weight issues, there is or unhealthy lifestyles. It's a strange one because I feel he's been praised for it, and then we can look at the other side of it with Arnold. He's been criticised.
No, that's
for it.
exactly my point. Yeah, when you put weight on, it's like, oh, look at how he's let himself
then
go. But then when you lose weight, you celebrated like it's like you're better than you were before, and I don't think the
because
shape of your body.
Have you not been paying attention for all your years on this world? Pretty people are better.
Oh, obviously.
Apparently, you can tell it, because if you ever hear about a young girl who died, the news reporter will say, and she was such a pretty young girl.
Beautiful young girl.
But
Like, the loss would have been any worse if she'd have been an ugly girl.
But then the other side of this as well. Remember, like when you get like people
Or
like
any
Kate
less, even.
Moss
It
and
should
stuff,
have been an ugly girl.
and like Amy Winehouse was criticised for her weight; she was too thin. Like the media is just cunts. God, apologies if I say that, but I've said it now. Cunt.
Mike, do me a favour. Just push your mic back, as in this bit. Just rotate it up. Yeah. Will it go more?
Yeah.
Yeah. There. Cool.
So like the media creates this. It's not us that's creating it. It's the media that's creating this. They've got to have something to sell stories with. They've got to have something that's going to make people click onto an article or buy magazines or have talking points on a news show.
But then what about Caroline Flack, the hashtag Be Kind? So she got so much abuse on social media that she committed suicide. And then we had this whole be nice to people, be kind. If you can't be anything else,
But
be
that goes
kind.
out the window really quickly anyway. People don't give a shit.
As soon as people stop grieving and something else happens, we're quick to jump straight back on.
I don't think people are grieving. I think people are doing it because it's a hashtag. I think people are doing it because it's popular to do it. I mean, I remember at the start of lockdown and with all this COVID stuff, I knew a lot of men that a lot of lads I know that were sharing share a picture of yourself, copy and paste this status about suicide and men's mental health, and most of those people don't do fuck all normal anyway. Like, I mean, I'll put my hands up and say, I suffer with mental health and it's been a really bad time for me the last few months, but like, when you're then getting shamed for not sharing that shit, it's like, fuck off, I do more for mental health than just sharing something on social media. And I think that's a key thing that people will, it's the same thing with anything, and I don't want to touch on things that other people will talk about later on. We have this be kind thing, and then people will put things out like migrants and boats, sink the boats. People don't care. They just do things. And I don't want to generalize too much, but we live in a cruel society at times. And that's a bigger subject than just that. But like, we live in a cruel society sometimes where most people I think are being conditioned not to care about each other, or being conditioned to be uncaring. And sharing "be kind" as a hashtag is a popular thing to do. If you don't share it, then you're not as populous as you'd want to be, because people want to be seen as being on trend.
All right, so back, because we seem to have covered like
2 subjects.
3. Well, because you're talking about men and their perception of can they age gracefully. Well, obviously it's not just men. You're talking about celebrity men who their entire career have embodied this
Picture of perfection
image
for men, yeah.
of visual
Masculinity.
perfection, masculinity, etc. So the decline of that physique is synonymous with the decline of their masculinity, perhaps, or it's more in line with your average person. And for these people who were supposed to have been like these times version of like idols, or
put on pedestals.
they're put on pedestals. So it's quite I don't know, once you are at the top, the only way is down.
But then I feel that with Arnold is still revered. They've got like the Arnold Classic, the bodybuilding world, or the weightlifting world. How many people have been inspired by Arnold as from being a massive
that
bodybuilder?
Film, Pumping Iron, is ridiculously.
Most people that are into lifting weights will look at Arnold as put him on a pedestal. And even these days, even though he's in his 70s, he's still revered. He's still put up on a pedestal.
I don't think men get it half as bad as women.
We don't.
I think,
we don't for sure.
I think men, when they put some weight on, we'll put fun at them. I think it's just kind of normal.
But then how does that fit in with the be kind stuff?
Well, this is what I'm talking about. Be kind, but it I didn't really want to.
No, but what I'm saying is, if we're saying that it's okay, like we just poke fun at men for doing this, but then what if Robbie Williams committed suicide when he got fat because everyone was calling him fat?
Okay, dude, you're talking to a ginger guy.
Yeah.
All right, I've been poked fun at my entire life.
Just for the ginger thing?
Just mainly,
right.
predominantly.
I'm surprised there's not been more things as well, Phil. Yeah.
So I've got a confession.
What?
So
I was just about to make a very.
Oh, go on then. Go on.
No, that's all right. You just fucked it up.
You
Go ahead.
Go on. You're talking
Ladies
to a ginger
first.
guy. You see, you're at it again. You're talking to a ginger guy. Go on.
Are you ginger?
No, he's bald. He uses the front peak of his
face
cap
dropping.
as a hairline, but we all know it's
bald.
deceiving.
I shaved my head.
Yeah.
We sat here talking about be kind, and look how your attitude
You
is.
just tried to bring it back to. So you was ginger.
But anyway.
That was
No,
where
you're
you got,
contradicting yourself.
That's where you
I
got
saw
to
the
in your
malice in
story.
your eyes, you little bitch.
That's where you got to. In your story.
Yeah. Whatever. So I was basically saying, look, for me, it's a basic principle behind this, right? For people who have had their entire life treated a particular way, and it typically is if you are beautiful, you get treated in a much better default way than if you are, say, ugly. All right. If you are ugly and you spend a majority of your life perceived that way, whether you are or aren't, whether it's more about social perception of you, you are therefore forced to go one of two ways: either become a victim of it or become the owner of it, and just kind of say. And you see it. Look, this is the same thing that's happened within with black people, with fat people, with anyone who's been attacked socially. Historically speaking, they've had to learn to either have a sense of humor about it and to own it, to take power away from their otherwise aggressors, or to be consumed by it, And so, like, the reason it'd be harder for beautiful people or rich people or whatever kind of people is because this turn of public opinion of them is so out of the norm. It's not what they're used to, that it will hit them differently. Hit them hard, and on the scale in which they're attacked, and like with Twitter and headlines and whatever else it is, there'll be the focal point on chat shows and stuff. The fact that you've been attacked from every which direction, I can imagine, is too much. So the only point I was drawing for the ginger thing was, like I say, I've had to learn to develop a sense of humor. Whereas I think if I'd have been treated like a beautiful person my entire life, and then the world to change and start pointing, maybe I wouldn't psychologically be able to handle that.
Okay, so have you got a daughter?
I've got 2 boys.
2 boys. So if you had a daughter, and for you, would you rather your daughter be stunning or ugly?
That's a strange
Would I
question.
rather them be beautiful?
Yeah.
I think
what's a hard question.
But then
isn't it?
I think it's the concept of beauty, though. It's like anything, right? And I'm going to drop in a Kanye line here, right? Sometimes the prettiest people do the ugliest things on the road to riches and diamond rings, right? So beauty is I'm not going to say it's in the eye of the beholder, but it's subjective, right? Because like it's different. Like I'm going to be completely biased when it comes to my daughter and say she's beautiful.
But
like,
all right, so how the world perceives
perceives it, yeah.
Of
Well,
course.
it's true, yeah. Like nobody would want their child to have to have physical deformities or be seen as something that's not attractive. So I guess I want her to be happy and successful.
But then
in the world in which we live right now, it's easier to, in such a superficial world, it's easier for someone to feel happier if they match the
I wouldn't
conforming
go as
view
far
of
as
beauty.
to say it's easier for them to feel happier, because
I just
there
think
is one second, there is a
superficially.
standard that they're held upon, that comes with its own form of pressure to which they feel they have to uphold and to maintain. As you've just said, for people who have been regarded as beautiful their entire life, the moment that they start to have wrinkles or fucking get a bit overweight, it leads to these people to having all kinds of plastic surgery and whatever procedure. And do you know what I'm saying? It will lead to its own form of problems. For me, to answer the question of would I want my daughter to be beautiful? Of course I want my daughter to be beautiful. Just because, like we've just said, socially speaking, it would be easier.
Would it be easier? Would a 6 or a 7?
One second.
No.
It's more of a case of it creates the potential ease of circumstances for her to gain a positive self-image, because people will typically say that she's beautiful, which would, from an external standpoint, envow her. Is that the right word?
No, yeah.
I'm not making it worse.
From
It will
a
give her
superficial
confidence
social kind of social
but then it's
standard.
my job as a father, or it'd be a mother's job, it'd be the family's job, to tell her,
cover
look,
that with
that
parent.
isn't your highest virtue, right? Whatever you bring to a man, if you're going to get into a relationship with a man, you have to bring something more than just your looks. Whatever you're bringing to society has to be more than just your looks. The fact that you might have easier access to opportunities, the fact that you may have a higher level of self-esteem than others who don't have your certain looks, cool. That's a privilege that you neither earn nor really are you worthy of. It's a given. It just is what it is. Now what you need to make sure is that you've got work ethic, you've got empathy, you've got self-confidence, you've got, do you know what I'm saying? It's the virtues that's going to give her real.
But in the world we live in,
world.
in the world we live in currently, it is quite a cruel, harsh society. If you're not seen as an attractive person or a beautiful person, that can be harder to do. And I think sometimes things are a little bit harder than just. I mean, like I said, I touched upon before this. I suffer with body dysmorphia, so there could be times I feel great.
Sorry, I didn't.
No, that's all right.
How does that pan out?
Well, there's days I feel amazing, right? And I could be 6 days in the gym, food's perfect, exercise perfect, and then I'll have a day where I'll feel like crap. I can't look at myself in the mirror and see the true reflection of myself. I'll take a picture and see the true reflection of myself.
What do you see?
A fat dude.
Fat.
But that's.
Was you once big?
No, but mine stems from kind of childhood issues and stuff.
Okay.
But same again though with that. Sometimes it's not always easy to just no matter how well you've been. Like, you could have all the tools in the world, and it's not as. And that works both ways, with whether it's dysmorphia or whether it's somebody with an eating disorder that's like bulimic or anorexic or anything like that. It's then you're dealing with mental health issues on those side of things. And I think in the society we do live, there is a massive rise on the side of mental health with those things such as eating disorders, not just amongst young men. So not just amongst young women now, it's amongst young men.
Agreed, because that's what I was going to ask you. Why did you ask if it was daughters? Why does it matter if daughters should be beautiful or not? Because if he's got 2 sons, why is the question of do you want your sons to be good looking or not relevant? Why does it have to be a woman?
It's true, because we are seeing a rise at the moment. If you look at it, I mean, this might be a time.
What's that? Let me answer that question.
So I don't feel like you were loud enough then.
Actually, sounded loud enough to me.
I think it might be ours. I think it's you.
Is it me? Can you hear me on this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So the reason I asked is just because there was a conversation about it that I heard, and it was. I mean, the conversation was a lot ruder than that. they were talking about body shape and everything. Would you want your daughter to have massive boobs? Do you think that would help her?
Was it all
Go
about
on in.
females? Is that why you asked it?
No, it was one of the people in it was going to be a dad, and they were saying, oh, you know, when your daughter, what would you want for your daughter? Do you want her to be, you know, do you want her to have a perfect figure and da da da? And it was it felt like a bit of a weird, but there were comedians.
Just the way you said it felt weird.
That's why they were sort of talking about that, which is why I toned it down. I was like, do you think that being a 9 out of 10 for most of your life is better than being a 7 out of 10 for all of your life? Do you know what I mean? But mainly because me and Mike have daughters, that's why I mentioned daughters.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's just because I was thinking, you know, you made a point about you can't go into like the industry thinking you're going to get very far with just your looks. You have to be able to bring skills to the table.
It's not just industry, I meant life.
No, just in life. Sorry, wording wrong there. But ultimately, then shouldn't that apply to boys as well?
It should.
I don't think, but that's the thing. There's a subconscious, I believe, the rationalization as to why you chose a daughter as opposed to a boy. It's because when we think about it at a rudimentary level, a boy's value is placed somewhat in his skill set,
in his ability to earn money,
his ability to society. A woman's value, typically speaking, is her aesthetic, her sex appeal. Now, as derogatory as that does sound, we also I used this example previously. You only have to go to a third world country, and where crime is rife and career opportunities are non-existent. What are the young boys doing for profit? Gangs, crime, pickpocketing, etc. What are the young girls doing for profit? Prostitution, typically speaking. Because when you bring people down to that animalistic level, it would appear that that is how people read people.
And it's interesting as well where we've had throughout this lockdown, OnlyFans has blown up, and you know, and I've got no issue with a woman using her sexuality and her attractiveness to earn money. It's, you know,
but I'm sorry.
I wanted to make that clear that wasn't a critique on that, but it's true, beauty sells, or perceived beauty sells. But I think there is a change in society at the moment. Like, this is just for me, what, you know, my opinion is that, you know, men do have more pressure now to look better, to feel good. I mean, you know, like, you have to look good in a t-shirt. You have to be going to the gym. You have to be slim. Do you know what I mean? There is the pressures that women have had for decades that men, I've noticed, and maybe I'm oversensitive to it for certain reasons, but it has become a thing now where there is a higher standard placed on men than there ever has been before, and maybe we're just getting 50% of what women have had for decades. But there is a thing now where I do feel it is changing. And like, I mean, if you take a look at cosmetic products for men, I mean, if you look growing up, you know, the opinion is, if you look at our father's generation, it would have been like, you know, you'd have brushed your teeth, you'd have had a shave, stick on some aftershave. These days you moisturize, you exfoliate. Some men wear makeup, some men don't. It's you know, tans and things like that, and having to keep your hair cut permanently and shaping your beard and all these kind of things that men do. It's, society has changed a little bit for us as men, that more men are now feeling that kind of pressure, I think, closer to what women have felt for a long time. But it's amazing though how we missed the point of, rather than feeling sympathy for women, we just managed to go over the top and just feel sympathy for ourselves.
From your thoughts and expectations there, who's put that pressure on you? Is it other men or is it women?
Well, I think society in general. I think it's from both. I do think. I mean, mine's different because I have other reasons for why I feel the way I feel. But like, I do think it's kind of both in that respect. I think it's collectively as a society.
I think it's like a number of factors at play. One, the social media platforms. Instagram is a big one. Facebook, etc. Everyone's always trying to present them as their best self, and therefore it does set a precedence of what you feel like you should be. And I think in particular for people who don't really know themselves, or are going through the process of becoming to know themselves, or just are at that younger stage of being conditioned by what they're observing, I think it is therefore conditioning new standards of normality of what you should and shouldn't look like. It's much easier to portray a standard of look you should uphold than it is to portray a standard of set of ethics that you should hold through social media.
I agree because
outlets like Instagram and
Because
stuff.
everything social media promotes is all it's just visual. And it's just cosmetic. It's just superficial. There isn't. I mean, it's very rare. Most people, if you were to put a deep post or a deep video on social media, most people are going to watch for 15, 20 seconds and tune out.
Yeah.
Whereas if you can present yourself in a picture, and I see it the same way. Like, get back on having a daughter. I mean, every time I see it's been 6 months since I saw my daughter when I saw her this weekend, and we're going through like old photos on my phone and stuff, like all the way back to when she's a baby, and I was noticing like, even at a certain age, kids know how to pose in pictures when they see a camera now. Like most small children know how to pose, and they'll stand a certain way, and they know what their best side is, and they'll do certain poses. And do you know what I mean? The world has become very superficial in that respect, because on social media, less people are encouraged to promote a more deeper thinking spiritual side than they are rather than just. And I think that's why Instagram is so as popular as it is, because it's just a picture. You got a caption below. Most of the time you have to click on read more to put what they're saying. Most people are only going to see the picture.
Yeah.
Can I ask something on that?
Go ahead, yeah.
So I was going to mention this earlier, but so you've got girls doing dances like on TikTok. Yeah.
Okay.
And you've got young girls doing the same dances. So someone who's maybe 20 will do what we'd class as a provocative dance, and then people mimic it and they post their own videos.
Yeah.
Who decides that that's a provocative dance? Are we saying that the girls shouldn't be doing that because it's a sexy dance, or are we saying guys shouldn't view that as a sexy dance? It's just a girl dancing.
Well,
I think it's come to the point now where it's just dancing. I think that's the shift.
No.
That's the shift now. I know what you're saying.
I get what you're
and
saying.
I'm not saying it's my opinion.
Sorry, finish your point. And then
We're probably on the same side of this, but I think it's now got to the point where, like, because my daughter does the same thing with things like TikTok. I don't think they're seeing it as it's outwardly like sexual. They're just doing it because it's the trend. Everyone else is doing it. Where we can view it as parents, that I don't want my daughter to be shaking her ass on TikTok. I don't want my daughter to be thinking that that's how she's got to dance. But then there's the other side of things where it's like, well, then I don't want to be putting my potential generational differences or standards onto my daughter. It's a tricky one, but I would prefer my daughter not to be posing sexy, not to be dancing a certain way which is provocative. It's a tricky one, isn't it? And I think it's with kids. I don't think my daughter would look at it as that she's doing that purposely to be sexy. That's just the norm,
because it's very similar to the way women dress.
Yeah, it's
just because
mindset.
we view that as attractive, and we're saying, oh, so that's making me feel a certain way, but that's me and my thoughts. That's not down to her. She can dress however she wants. But I'm saying, oh wow, have you seen her? She looks.
But that's the thing,
like,
isn't it? That's the
why
thing.
Why am I
tricky.
thinking that? Because of the way she chose to dress that day.
And sometimes you have to remove your own personal view on things and try and look at things from that perspective.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So there's two. I do want to have a conversation around it. If you remember, I said it was do intentions matter. It was one of the talking points. But before I get onto that, it does link in. So you were just talking about young girls doing provocative dances, yeah? Now, if you've been listening to my Instagram videos, you notice.
Yeah, no, I don't listen to it.
Doesn't matter.
I tune in for 10 seconds.
Can I ask what you're classing as provocative dancing, just out of interest?
You're a dancer, just show us.
Ass shaking, winding.
But then that's interesting as well. When
Booty popping.
So just a shake of the bum is provocative?
A single shake.
No, as in like left, right, if you want.
I don't know. It's hard to.
But then if you
describe just through words,
how long is things like salsa dancing and things like the lambada they've been around for decades, generations. So sexual movements in dance.
One moment. Right. So there's. Sorry, you needing to do something technologically? Okay.
So just broke the fourth wall. We're supposed to pretend he's not there.
Just making sure I'm not about to say something and get cut off. All right, so just let's talk about it from that. So, is the dance provocative? I think it is, yes. And I think most adults would agree that certain dances done in a certain way will be read by seedy men to be a potential turn-on tool for that seedy man. And I don't want to over-sexualize young girls until they're until they're consciously aware of what it is that they're potentially doing to other men. What potential situations that... All right, let me put this...
No, because that seedy man needs to change his mindset.
Yes.
It's the whole... it's going on social media at the minute about, you know, I don't know if it's how to stop rape, how to prevent rape, and it's this checklist of things that
It's
girls
not on a
should
woman
do.
to stop rape or
And it's
something.
not,
No.
it's not for a woman or man, you know, but it's that person's mindset that needs to change, not the dance that the girl's doing, not what she's wearing. I appreciate, I'm not a parent, but as a male and as a father, looking at certain things, it can become it looks sexualized.
Listen to what I'm saying, right? I'm going to use a totally different example, but it does relate.
Okay.
So a mother puts on a picture on social media of her daughter, I don't know, getting her exam results back, or getting ready for her prom, or getting out for a party night with her friends. She should be younger than 16. She's like somewhere between the 10 and 15-year-old age bracket. She's posting up them pictures. Now, the mother's intent is simply to promote how proud she is of her daughter at looking nice, and just saying to all of her Facebook friends and family, look at my daughter, I'm proud of my daughter. What is the likelihood, though, that some seedy man within the mother's profile, in the mother's friends list, might just perceive that daughter and be like, she looks all right. And then he might, I'm saying that that's what seedy man,
I get where you're coming from.
Hidden within her friends list, and then he might try and approach the daughter. Now, I'm saying it was never the mother's intention to present her daughter as a sexual item, but what about that man who perceived them? Now, you're right, the man with them sadistic thoughts needs to be addressed. However, also, we don't need to be adding fuel to the fire.
Which is fine. Which is
to some
fine.
extent.
There's lots of things. There's lots of things we need to address there. Like some again, I have an agreement and disagreement in regards to the dancing thing. Like, I'm not old enough for this, but like when Elvis first came around, it was seen as shocking and provocative that he was gyrating his hips. That, like, provocative, or society. If you look at Elvis now on any old black and white image and he's there gyrating his hips around, would we say that was provocative, or we just say that's dancing?
Well, it depends. If you would compare it to today's standards.
But that's the point.
It's a man or a woman doing
but
it.
the point is that there will always be societal judgment of the time. Now, I'm not saying that I think and I've said earlier, I'm not happy with my daughter going and it's work and he's shaking her ass. But then, same again, there is that point where that's just seen as dancing.
But it's not just dancing.
Listen again. Let me just
Can
finish.
a woman rape a man?
Well, yeah, shit. A woman can sexually assault a man. Of course,
No,
she can.
can a woman rape a man?
That's a different
No,
subject.
she can't. That's legally speaking. A woman cannot rape a man. So therefore, one second.
No, you can't move all context and nuance there.
Not against the law. The law states that
That woman cannot.
A 15-year-old boy and a 15-year-old girl, only the boy will get done for underage sex.
No,
he has to be
we're dealing with
aroused.
different subjects now. We're dealing with different subjects.
No, because we're talking about trying to create a unification, a perspective of boys and girls in relation to provocative dances and stuff. We have to recognize that whether we like it or not, women are not the same as men when talking about sex.
Of course.
Right? A man, as you've already said, cannot create an OnlyFans account and generate as much appeal as a woman can by creating the same account. They're not the same. All right.
Of course,
so we have to keep intellectually consistent when talking about provocative dances and stuff. A young boy shaking a little dance and whatever, he's more likely to be compared to being gay than he is to be seen as sexually arousing. Right? Whereas a young girl doing a provocative dance, she's going to be called potentially little names and whatever.
Okay,
do you know what?
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. It's just we have to deal with the world as it is.
Sorry, can I just challenge that?
Can we just pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
Remember exactly what you're going to say. That camera stopped recording, which means you won't be on.
Anyway, so you were talking about how if there's a young girl, you know, dancing up there and people could be watching that, and I'm thinking, and you said if it was a boy it wouldn't be seen as provocative, it would just be seen as that he's gay.
But depending on the movement, I'm taking me. If you're saying,
but just accept it. Let her finish the point. Let her finish the point.
No, but she said I didn't say that. I said if a young boy was to do the exact movements that would be regarded as provocative from a girl, he would typically be regarded as feminine or gay or something.
Yeah, this is what I'm challenging, because if we go back to the previous comment of seedy men, surely to someone who is a seedy guy, regardless of gender, we know that also boys are subject to paedophiles and things like that. So, you know, surely it's not just about targeting. If we're going down the route of we need to, you know, kind of watch what young girls are doing, how they're dressing, how they're dancing. But surely that goes
you're right,
with boys
you're
as well.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think- I
but the
think
question
also-
was, it was just, I was mainly talking about girls because the question was framed. Young girls doing provocative dances.
But I think I do think we need to push this out and move away from just like let's talk about everybody in this conversation. Do you know what I mean? But same again, that's something.
Sometimes you can't talk about why is it absolute? 1 second. Why is it absolutely okay to recognize the distinction that black issues are worthwhile to be discussed, completely about black issues, and to then start talking about white issues or Asian issues?
No, you're conflating this.
No. But if you start to talk about every other racial, then your all lives matter in the situation. Why is it not okay? Why are you pulling Ennis?
I'm just telling Mike to move it away from his mouth a little bit.
Almost took me
Try
out.
not to interrupt the conversation. It just didn't work.
No. So what I'm saying, why is it okay to recognize that there are issues specific to a particular group?
It's not.
Because it is.
No, but I'm saying.
I mean, I'm all good in recognizing that we have to talk about the seeming contradictions between what affect boys and young girls, and that's all good. But let's talk about the young girl situation without othering the situation. Let's talk about that and then talk about
which is
that.
fine, but the reason why I brought it back is because the subject was Arnold and Vin Diesel and the male image, which is why I said we need to talk about things on both sides, because there will be similarities, and I wanted to bring it back a little bit to the fact that it started off as what affects men, how it affects men these days, and the things that have been affecting women for decades. By no means was I trying to do what was suggested. I was literally just trying to bring the conversation back a little bit.
So it's a good time to tell you my confession.
Go.
So the reason I chose the first two topics, about male body image and be kind, is because now I'd like to talk to you about my picture.
No, that's not.
Huh?
Have we got like a close-up?
I'm in support of you
everybody?
doing it, Phil. Just don't show
There's
me.
going to be
It's on my
a portion.
screensaver.
There's going to be a portion of people
here we
who
go.
don't know what picture we're
So
talking
this
about.
is
So we're going to have to
this is
describe
some
it.
of the shoots that we've been doing on here.
Phil, would you like to give a verbal description of what was going on in that picture?
What was going through your mind?
Okay, so
While you're looking down the camera.
I've got a photographer using some of the studio, which is Phil, who's here with us. Phil Mitchell Photography. And
Do you have a brother called Grant? I was like,
so
just
we've
too honest to do.
ooh.
I haven't heard that one before.
Come on, I had to do it.
So he's doing photos here, and we are going to be offering photo shoots to families who can't afford photo shoots.
Oh, that's nice.
So what we want to do is we want to make sure that, because Phil's done photography for years but never done studio, so he's used to manipulating natural light. So we're trying to look at how we can make photos look good in this studio, because the lighting is not brilliant. We're under
it
artificial
turns out
light
there are
here.
some photos you just can't make look good.
So the idea was that we get some people in and we do shoots just so we can manipulate colour and light and stuff like that. So we've got some gym equipment, and
Chains.
while somebody was having their photos done, I was messing about. And those chains are heavy.
Yeah,
Like,
no,
you can try and lift them before we go. They're heavy. Yeah, you could do a workout just with those chains. So
Done
we were
some,
doing
like,
somewhere we
dips.
sort of like pull in the chain, and the focus is on the ring that's on the corner, so you can't really see me. It's all out of focus. And then I put them over my shoulders and had a picture took, and I didn't have a top on. So when I came home in 2015, I was training a lot. In 2016, and I went from sort of quite ripped to then bulk, and then I got busy with work. I stopped going to the gym, and I put weight on. So then when I'm performing on stage, I'm trying to give people the impression that I still look the way I used to look, so I breathe in. And every time I've performed, I've been breathing in. I can't stop myself doing it. I know I do it, but what happens is I only have half a breath. So I get caught out because I'm trying to deliver spoken word, and sometimes I write pieces knowing that I'm going to need breaths. So I write the words in a way that I'll need to breathe at some point here, because I'm going to be breathing in. So me posting that picture was a really, really big thing for me.
Okay.
And it wasn't like I'm going to post it and see what reaction I get. It was just I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to post it. And like you say, if you've been given shit all your life or something. So I've never been. I've not always been in shape. I've never been out of shape. I used drugs for 10 years. I used to weigh like 10 stone. So then to go from weighing nothing to being looking good in a t-shirt to then looking the way I do now, I really struggle. So every picture I take, I always breathe in, I always stand, you know, push your shoulders out a tiny little bit, chest in and chest out, sorry. And that picture, it got me some shit.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people saying some like laughing and do you know what? It didn't bother me.
Did not.
It didn't bother me.
That's
And
beautiful. Though,
this
mate,
is
that you've got to that point.
and
I was expecting a totally different fucking climax to that.
no.
You're gonna
And
tell me I
what
made you feel bad and shit. I was like, oh, bro, I was gonna start apologizing.
Yeah, no. And it's nice. And you know what? I'm hoping that I know that I'll always do it on stage. I know I'll always breathe in because it's part of my routine. And I know I'm doing it, and I try and stop myself. I've even started saying when I get up now, I do this thing where I breathe in, and I'm telling you now so that you know, and I don't need to do it, but I still do it. The first time I take a full breath, I just hold it there and then I keep talking, and this is literally how I am when I'm on stage. And then my breath's gone. So I did that to the point where I couldn't breathe again then. But it's just made me think I'm not bothered. I'm a 36-year-old man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got like the things I'm bothered about now is my company, my work. There's the picture.
There it is.
Well, that's the black and white one. That one looks all right, actually. But just leave that on there, Phil. So the idea of this is, like, the colour of my tattoos, the colour of my skin, but also the beard and the chains. So we're trying to manipulate the light to look good on all four of those things.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
More power to you, mate, for feeling like you could share.
So this is... And that's what that picture's for. It's not for me to say, look at me holding this big chain. It was to look at how we can manipulate light.
No. I get exactly your point, and I don't want to go after that, but I'll come back to this. But Chadwick Boseman, the gentleman who played Black Panther, just died of
colon cancer.
Colon cancer, yeah. Same thing. When he was caught looking ill, but he didn't let it be known that he was dying. People started taking the piss out of him, you know, like what's happened to him, he's lost his size and whatever else. I don't know, I've not personally seen them, I just seen the headline saying that people criticized him at the time.
I never saw it at the time.
And now
I've only
that he's
seen it
died,
afterwards.
everyone's obviously like, Wakanda forever,
but people will forget,
long
though.
live the king and all this shit. It's like, but we're the same people taking the piss out of it.
I guarantee some of those people.
You know what I'm saying?
Some of those people would have been. I mean, for me, there's something I just want to bring up. Do you know, I'm a big fan and I'm a big supporter of people just like owning shit in that respect. So like,
oh, there it is.
When you get that, you know, when you get a situation where, and I've seen it before, and I can't remember what show it was on there, but it was, I'm gonna get a name wrong now, but like you had Rev Run, and then you had is it Amber Rose or something? And Rev Run was talking about like how she dresses, and if a woman dresses a certain way, then she's got to expect certain. I like the fact there's a thing in America called is it called the slut walk? They did a piece on Vice in it. There's a show on Vice called Hate Thy Neighbour. A guy called Jamali Maddox does a show. It's a bit like Louis Theroux, but a bit more kind of updated, modern on Vice. And there's a piece on that. There's an episode they did there on the slut walk, and it's women kind of reclaiming that word and dressing how they want to be dressed and putting an image of themselves forward without caring if someone tries to slut shame or call them a whore or anything. And I think that's powerful.
Yeah. Well,
but however, I agree there is a fine line in some people's in for some people, and especially with things like parents. When it comes to things like the how our daughters or our sons pose or dance and things like that, but it's difficult because I think we've all been guilty of it ourselves, of objectifying people, and I think if there's a way we can get past that and people reclaim it, and say fuck you, I'm gonna dress and present myself how I want to dress and present myself. Your perception is your problem. It's not how I present myself, and I think that's a better place to get to than don't dress provocative, don't do this, don't do that, don't dance provocatively. It's a tricky one because I can see both sides of things. And the point earlier on that I never got a chance to address, I just want to put one last little thing out. Okay. We're going to put something out there that say if you've got a friend that's on, like your mum posts something and then there might be some unscrupulous person or some deviant person, we could have that fucking anywhere, mate. And we can't live our lives thinking because there might be weirdos out there might be deviants out there might be predators out there. And everywhere across the globe there is, and in every walk of life and every community there will be those people. I refuse to live in a world where we give in to those people, the few people in society that unfortunately have ill intentions
No.
and might be predators.
No.
Because it's a weird one to put, because it's like anything. When I go to my daughter's school play and I want to take pictures of her, I'm not going to post those on social media. I want that picture of my daughter so I can look back and think about the time that I went to go and see my daughter in a school play.
Right.
It's a weird one these days. I think the world has got a little bit crazy recently, but we can't tailor the whole world to the few fucking weirdos in society.
No.
I just wanted to address that.
Yeah,
from
of course. But that is three things to like talk on.
His head's gonna go.
So,
Well, I'll come back to that one
course.
in a minute, just for continuity purposes. So, oh man, I've totally fucking lost the point we were talking about.
maybe it's a good time for a segue.
The photo, my photo, was it something to do with
It
that?
was you, yes,
Yeah.
it was you, right? So what we was basically talking about initially was the public, or an individual even, being presented in public in a particular way that leads to scrutiny, mocking, and laughter and poking fun, yeah? And we were talking about how that mockery makes that individual feel. And the reason you used Caroline Flack was because in her instance, it would appear that the mockery was so intense that it led her to take her own life. So in the far extreme, public scrutiny and mockery can push someone to want to take their own life. So it is a serious word. It's a topic taking very serious. However, what you just done, because it happened to you just on a small scale, obviously you didn't have headlines and shit written about you. What happened about you though was you did put yourself forward, and for you now talking about it, you put yourself forward vulnerably, in a way that you've never done before, exposing all your insecurities and just saying fuck it, let's see what happens.
You owned
And
it,
then
yeah?
you did get mocked, but that also reaffirmed to yourself that you're of an age, you're of a particular life situation that you don't give a fuck. But then the next step to that was us hearing that, being free of the people who have mocked you, all from a place
I'd
of
like to
love.
point out, I mocked you jokingly in the group chat.
We've all
I'd
mocked
like to
him,
point
and
out
it's
that I
all
said he looked really
jokingly.
fit when I got here. Them chains did
You
it.
did, to be
I
fair.
did, didn't I? So it's just you.
The sarcasm's still in the voice as well.
But first of all, we're all coming from a place of love.
Did
But
you just
secondly,
What you need though, what
touch me?
it?
Go on, Steve.
that's all right. We're all coming from a place of love. But second to that, even if we weren't, the very fact that you've humanized the entirety of the situation and it being less to do with just a picture and us projecting our perceptions and our opinions and our laughter upon it, and you humanizing and saying, this is the fact, it was a big step for me to do this. It's kind of made us, I can't speak for that to you, but it's made me go, you know what? I feel bad for that, but not in a way of like, I feel sorry for you, but more of a way of, I'm actually like happy for you to have done that and feel the way you feel about the situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's the power. If you extrapolate that larger, like, so the power is in the individual, it's in the quote unquote victim, from them no longer perceiving themselves as a victim and coming forward to say, motherfuckers, this is the strength I've got to do what I do, irrespective of all your bullshit laughter.
So what if doing whatever I want to do is part of your bullshit laughter or judgment is them feeling sexy, dressing sexy, presenting sexy, dancing sexy or provocative?
Okay.
It's a tricky one though, isn't it?
No, you're right. No, because it only gets complicated in two ways. On an individual level for them, if this is their way of dealing with being called a slut or being called names or being what, on their individual self-esteem, the way to deal with day-to-day life, if their way is to dress a certain way or present themselves a certain way, that's fine. If that's going to help them live another day and feel happy in the process,
I would make
that's
the
fine.
argument.
But
I would make the argument, mate.
the second point is depending how they are, depending who they are. If they're on a social platform where they are influencing many a person, then we have to be also honest enough to say that this individual's choices are not merely just choices that affect them. They're choices that potentially affect very young, impressionable people. So their choices are not held to the same standard as, say, Phil's choice.
Can I respond?
By all means.
So, but then same again, is it empowering, right? So the whole thing, like, the whole Lady Gaga thing, right? When it was kind of like trying to empower the kind of the so-called, and I might get it wrong, what was her movement called? Someone help me out here.
I'm not sure.
I don't have a clue what you're on about.
But like, it was the whole thing of like, you know, empowering the so-called freaks or societal rejects. You know what I mean? Like loving who you are regardless of who you are. That whole kind of thing. If
Calls them the little monsters, I think.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so that's that little thing. So that's them again. You can, if you want to get up on social media or get up on TV and dress sexy or however you want to fucking dress and present yourself, I have no problem with that if what you're promoting is a positive message to people and owning that, so that we're not slut shaming, we're not judging people for how they look. And you always have a
You
part
are
of that.
judging for the look.
But we're always going to have that in as a part in society. But the point with this whole thing is though, is that it's the perceiver needs to change, not necessarily the person.
You're right,
presenting.
but I just said the way in which the perceiver will change is if a person who is being attacked has the fortitude and strength to stand up and say, you know what, this is how what you're saying to me makes me feel.
But then
I really
it
think it's
shouldn't
got
have to
power
be.
of
But it shouldn't
change.
have, not everyone can speak up though. Not everyone can speak up in that situation.
Perhaps not through voice, but
Let me
through
finish.
action.
But,
Yeah.
but Sam, again, not everyone can speak up and voice their action.
But you're just on about them being themselves
but I'm
is
just-
action.
But I'm saying that generally in society, we need to change the point of view of how we perceive people. That's the biggest thing first. It's like anything, when we talk about anything like that, it's how a woman dresses. Like if a woman's a victim of sexual assault, what was she wearing? How was she acting? Fuck all that shit. It's in the same ballpark as that. Same, like I could go out dressing. I think I look my best, and someone thinks I look like a mess. Who gives a shit? If I feel I'm confident in what I'm wearing, and you can push that to anybody. We need to move away from the judgment. And yes, it's going to be difficult, and yes, it's going to be a little bit of hypocrisy, and I'm admitting that as a father of a daughter. But equally so, do I like the way my daughter dresses? How a midriff is always open? Well, maybe not. But I'm not going to tell her how to dress. I'm not going to tell her how to present herself. But that's how she wants to present herself, and that's how she feels confident. We need to move away from that in society. And this has been something that has gone on for generation and generation and generation and generation. We need to change the point of view of how it's perceived, rather than constantly saying children shouldn't be doing this, children shouldn't. Well, maybe we should fucking normalise that. Maybe we should get to a point where if a woman wants to walk down the street buck ass fucking naked, however she looks, it's not going to be a case of, well, she's asking for it if she gets attacked, or let's judge her for that shit. Fuck it. If you're confident enough to be how you want to be and dress how you want to dress and present yourself how you want to present yourself, who gives a shit? It's on us to perceive that differently and not be judgmental.
But that's
Maybe.
exactly the same as the dancing. That's the same, that's what we're saying about just because you dance a certain way doesn't mean that that's what message you're putting out.
Exactly.
But the person who's seeing that is viewing that with their feelings, thinking, "Oh, this is making me feel a certain way,"
And this is
and
what
that's
I'm
not
saying
for them to judge that.
in regards to there will be a little bit of hypocrisy there, because I don't want my daughter to be sexualized, but then I also want my daughter to feel comfortable with dressing how she wants to dress and dance how she wants to dance and present herself
So
how she wants to present
will you put
herself.
that last picture back on? So I said to you that I was all the stuff that people were saying. I was just like, yeah, it's cool. I'm not bothered. Like it didn't affect me. I sent this picture to a girl, but
In what context?
But I cropped it from above my nipple, and my hat. So can you just zoom in? Or crop it.
Well, the people watching this
Like
might
that.
see this.
Look at my shoulders
Look
there.
at your eyes.
Look good, mate.
So look at my shoulders. All I saw was your shoulders look good, so you need to crop the rest and just send that.
Who said that?
Me.
You said that.
That's how I
to
felt.
yourself.
So in that picture, I think, you know what, you look like you're in shape.
You do.
This is my point. So even though I'm sat there saying it doesn't bother me what people are saying, like I had no sort of self-doubt because I know that I'm at this stage of my life, but still this is still the image that I want to give out, because
And
that's what I sent. I literally cropped that strip. The strip in the picture is about that thick. You've got all the screen, and then right in the middle there's a tiny little strip.
But that's
with
the thing.
just that in
Like
it.
I think we're allowed that little
No, it's
bit.
my eyes in
my
that.
He sent me that.
Did he?
Yeah,
That's the person who sent
girl.
it to. I'm code word to go. But that's the thing, though. Sim, again, this is where the hypocrisy comes in, because as much as I say I would love, like I've got dysmorphia right now, I haven't lifted weights properly since March, so I won't wear a t-shirt and feel comfortable. I've lost so much. My body shape, up the waist up, has changed so much that I don't feel comfortable wearing. And all my clothes are slim fitting, which is fucking annoying. But I don't feel comfortable wearing t-shirts as much. I don't feel, because my chest has changed, and my shoulders and my back and my arms have changed. So I can say that we should still, even though there's a little bit of hypocrisy because I'm not prepared to do it myself, because I'm still trying to get over those little those little personal issues myself. We should still create a society where no matter how you look, you can dress how you want to dress, you can present yourself how you want to present yourself, you can act how you want to act. And I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, but with this whole thing,
what I said?
but I'm from before.
All right, about what?
I don't know what you're going to say yet, so I can't get what you're saying next. I'm judging from what's been said before. But same again, we have to get to that point where perception changes, and we're not judging people based on how society has judged people, because how society is working at the moment is pushing people like Caroline Flack.
People have not been judged for their look.
But does it make it right? This is the point.
No, but it makes it human.
Of course it
so
does.
That's why I'm trying to. Instead of trying to deny your humanity,
we need to get to the point where we can evolve.
It is what it is.
But we need to get to the point where we can evolve past that. Personally, I feel like we need to get to the point where we can evolve past that. Just because it's happened before doesn't mean the society can't evolve and change. There are lots of things that used to be the norm that are no longer the norm, right? And we could list off a million things, but the point is we need to get to the point where we do evolve as society, where people aren't in the situations like this.
Based on their looks is not something that we can eradicate.
Do you know what I find attractive? Confidence.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters whether you're a size 6 or you're a size 12 or you're a size 16. If you're confident with the way you look, like that's a completely different ball game. So I've got a confession. The girl who I sent the picture to, so I've been on some dates.
This is my girlfriend.
Hold on a second.
Just like, she's got such a pretty face, she's a funny person, she's amazing, she's absolutely brilliant, and it's not been that long. Like I say, we've met up a few times. We went to school together. She was the year below me in school, and there's just something about the way that she talks, the way that she carries herself. Do you know what I mean? There's just like this spark in her. And it's just it's unusual for me. Like, we joke because like brunettes is usually my thing, and she's blonde. So there's a whole thing about like Sophie Ellis-Bextor being my celebrity crush, and then
she was mine as well.
And then Emma Willis. And before that, do you remember Minnie Driver? Do you remember Minnie Driver?
Yeah, with the curly hair.
Yeah. So her, and she had quite like a square jaw, dark hair, blue eyes, and then Sophie, and then a bit of Emma Willis, and then we've been watching New Girl, you know, with Zoe
Deschanel.
Yeah. And I was just like, yes. And she's like, what do you see in me? I look nothing like any of these girls that you see, that you're talking about.
But then maybe it's the confidence thing, or how they put themselves.
But she's not unattractive. This is what I'm saying. But it's the confidence that
I always think this as well. Like, I work in a fucked up toxic male environment in my office, right? I don't give a shit if any of these cunts watch it. You've got small dick syndrome, and you're all trying to impress each other, and it's fucking sad and pathetic.
Christ.
But I've seen shit, right?
I love all my colleagues.
they're getting atted in this.
Fuck them. I'm not naming the company, so they can't say shit to me. But fuck them all. But they're so insecure that I've seen lads sit there and watch as these other twats that are single will slag off their missus, and it's like it's such the weak masculine toxic.
Just for male laughs.
That's the whole thing, and they accept it and they laugh along with it and go, yeah, she's a bitch. Like, fuck off. That's where men have got to. There's too many men like that in this society, and there are a lot of blokes that like will probably they've probably all got women they're talking to that they get on great with, that they probably have amazing chemistry with, but they're too much of cowards to try and keep up appearances amongst the other sad, pathetic little men that they surround themselves with.
Yeah.
They've got to keep up appearances with them, and I think that's the thing where there are people out there that they've probably all got them, and I've probably been guilty of it myself in the past. I'm not perfect. But there's people probably out there that although I have women that they'll see on the side, but they won't take them out to places.
Yeah,
they'll just be like we'll arrange meets, but it's always late at night. Do you know what I mean?
I'll be completely real. I cheated on one of my exes with a girl on a night out.
I hope she's watching this. You knew one, because once a cheat, always a cheat. I'm just
saying.
No.
I've already.
He's a reformed character.
I've already told her.
How dare you judge? How dare you
Yeah,
judge?
no, I've already told her.
As someone that's a reformed character as well, you're judging other people.
No. I'm being completely real here. So I was in complete love with this girl up until this night I cheated on her. And the only reason I cheated on her was because I was out and one of my boys from back in the day said, yo, Steven, there's this girl, she's on you. We can come with a little story, tell you girl that you come in mine or whatever, and we'll fucking go back to this girl's and we'll fucking do the thing. Now there was like this real weird conundrum in my brain. It was like, I've got this love for this girl who I don't want to hurt. Then I'm with my friend. And he's asking me to go back to this girl's house and do the thing. And for some reason, I felt I'd seem like such a bitch if I said no, that I said yeah. And I went forward and I did the thing.
How old were you?
young, 19 or so.
So we're talking about peer pressure, basically, is
Yeah.
what that is.
Yeah.
But 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I cheated on her, and it was like, on the guilt that I felt the day after was too much to bear. And the way in which guilt, I think, attacks a lot of people, I shut off. I blamed her, or I blamed people, or you know what I'm saying? When in truth, it was me. Now, the fact of the matter is, the reason I say that is because what you're talking about there, male masculinity, the toxic male masculinity kind of thing, that's one of the lessons that I reflected on when getting in with Cheyenne. Oh my God.
Oh,
He's named her.
Named her.
Named
Name
her.
drop.
Wow.
No, but before I get into before I got into a relationship with her,
Do you want
the
to
reason
look
was
into camera and give
Hey,
her a
hey,
baby. One of the reasons, no, because it was a reflection. I said, you've seen me. You're all taking a piss out of me because I've been making sure my
No, we're
girl
not taking
knows.
the piss at
No.
all.
I'm just making, because she knows that she feels appreciated. She knows that she is the apple of my
And
eye
that's-
right
that-
now.
that's a
and
man
I get
move
it.
right
I
there,
get
what
it.
you're
And as everyone's saying, yo, you're moving a bit quick and it's all a bit intense, but the fact of the matter is, I'm this kind of guy where I'll keep it going. Like, this is my energy. You know what I'm saying?
Consistency.
Yeah, and
You
it was my energy with my ex.
Wait.
With
I'm
the
saying
one
that
that-
like it's a good thing.
But you know
So
what,
this is-
though?
Nah, they're saying I'll tone it down a little bit.
Have you
bit.
seen that picture of
I'm
Will
gonna
Smith
get
when
t-shirts.
he's like that with
yeah,
his
yeah.
missus?
But you know,
That's
you know,
him.
I'm getting,
That is
I'm
him.
getting
He
t-shirts.
posted
Yeah,
a
yeah,
meme
I
like
posted
that,
it.
didn't he?
Yeah, you edited that, didn't
Yeah,
you? Put yourself on it.
I'm getting t-shirts printed. If you didn't know, this is my girl.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. That's the sort of shit that should be the positive masculinity shit that we do. That should be the stuff that's pushed from men.
Make that normal.
Rather than exactly, and it fucks me off. And I'm guilty of it myself. My biggest thing, and I put my hands up to this, like, and I'm working on this, and I'm trying to be a better man with it. Right? I love the chase. When I get it, I lose interest.
Same.
And it fucks me off because it makes me think, are there women out there that have a certain opinion of me that I've maybe hurt or of, you know, because I do it all the time, even unconsciously, and then I look back on it afterwards and think, why the fuck am I doing that?
What do you mean you like chase?
So I love the chase.
I've been the same. So for years, what it was you'd meet somebody, and then it's the whole texting and getting to know each other and the flirting side, and the going out and going on dates, and then the first kiss and the first time you sleep together, and then the next time you sleep together, and then exploring new things.
Eventually it goes up a cliff.
And then it's just sort of like, oh well, it's not as
We've done all the
exciting
new
anymore
stuff
now.
now,
So
so-
then it's the next one, and I went for years of my life with relationships that were sort of 3 months long.
Yeah.
And then my longest relationship was 9 months for years, and it was always, it got to 9 months and then that was it. It was over. And it was only recently when I was with Chantel that it went to 2.5 years, and I was just like, once you get past that part, you find other things. You know, you start planning things ahead, and that's really sort of made me grow up in relationships. I feel more mature about that.
I will openly admit what mine is, though. Like it's like, it's not the whole commitment phobe thing. It's the whole thing of like, I have fucked up a few times, and I have been hurt in situations. So there's that point where you want the good bit of the relationship, but then it's making the commitment of jumping to the bit where shit's going to get serious, where yes, there's a potential where some point down the line you could end up getting hurt. So that's the point I check out, when it starts to get the serious point. And I wish I wasn't that way. Now I am trying to work on it. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's really big to admit, though, because I don't think a lot of men admit that they jump ship because they're scared of getting hurt.
It's a cliche, but
I've got another theory on that. Sorry, finish your point, by all means.
But that's the point. This is the kind of conversations that men need to be having with each other, rather than the crap of the twats I work with in my office. Some of it, like, that's the thing that fucks me off, and a lot of that. My toxic masculinity is spoken word piece, and that piece, you know, we claim we love our women and stuff like that. That a lot of that, the motivation for that and the inspiration for that was working around the twats I work with, just to see that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny is because when their girlfriends find out they cheat, and everyone's feel sorry for, I won't say their names, but feel sorry for Johnny because his girlfriend just dumped him. I'm like, well, fucking, he's putting his dick anywhere and every single night out, and he's bragging about it in the office, and he's laughing about this you don't know. Well, fuck him. Like that's where I'm at. I'm not perfect. I've cheated. I've been unfaithful. Like there's a reason why I'm not married anymore from when I was younger. But like with that kind of thing, like we need to get to the point where that's not push forward to impress your mates, and how we impress our mates is and as much as we take the piss out of you, Stephen, is we impress our mates by treating the person we're in a relationship with like how you're treating her.
Maybe
yes,
a little less.
but
Maybe
that's
a
the
little
point.
less than you.
But that okay, maybe like, but it's an example though. But like, I've not taken the piss too much.
No.
But,
It's with
Yeah,
love.
the thing
It's
is, that
with
you,
love.
No, it's all
you
love,
put
it's
them
all
on
love.
knowing that,
Exactly.
and you do
I
it
know
saying
it.
like,
I
I know
know
this
it.
is going
You
to
know
wind
exactly-
you
you know
up, but
me,
that's
you
why
know
I'm doing
me.
it.
But that we should be normalising that shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can I ask Amy if she's got anything to say? Because I feel like
Yes.
the same thing's
Yeah,
She's
happening.
just sitting here
You've
judging
got
us.
about 15 topics to catch
We
up
are
on.
consistent.
What do you mean? My opinion on what? The relationship thing?
Everything we've spoken
Anything.
about.
I've been jumping in. I was getting really angry when he was
Don't
talking
get so angry.
about...
I've
She
just-
looked
I've just
angry.
tried
If
to
looks could
open
kill you,
it
they
up.
dropped
I
dead 3
know.
times.
Yeah.
Look at
Well,
him.
the
he's
first time I
like,
seen her looking pissed off.
if I didn't love you, I swear. Like, I don't know, because I feel like we discussed this last time about like how we should be teaching kids, you know, that it's not all just about having relationships. There are different types of relationships you can have, and we spoke, you know, about very much you talk about the chase. Girls like it too, but I think it is very much a guy thing, and a lot of girls don't know when to spot them signs when it's going to happen, and I don't know, like. I'm just at a stage in my life where I'm be a little bit scared of getting hurt, because I spoke last time about I got really hurt the first time with the first girl, but I think I'm just at a stage where I'm probably wanting just to be a bit free and not like sleep around.
See, I
I've done
think-
that before.
I-
But-
can I
you
Can I
know what
jump
I mean?
in? Just 1 second. Do you want to? Have you got anything else?
No, go for it.
See, because my thing of it is, I think there's almost like 3 stages of love, relationship. We might want to preface it as a relationship more than love, but there's the beginning stages when it's like you say, it's fiery, it's passionate, it's new, it's exciting. Yeah, there's all of that, and then it transitions to we familiarize ourselves. I know what she likes, she knows what I like. We're introduced into each other's families. You know, we become a little more integrated, and
And then hatred.
no,
Right, okay.
That's been mine.
Well, let me put it this way, because the thing of it is, what typically is exciting for a lot of people at the beginning stage is the idea of a new person, and also the idea of being able to present themselves as brand new to somebody new.
I never do that. I'm just the same old me.
Oh, no,
I'm
I
not
love
saying
it.
it's
Getting
cons-
dressed
I'm not saying it's
up, making
everybody.
yourself.
I can't be
love
asked
it.
making the effort. I am who I am now. I'm 36 years of age. I am who I am now.
No,
I ain't
that's
changing.
good. That's good. I like that you've got that. But for many people, I've definitely suffered it from when I was younger. This fear of somebody getting to know me, you know, it scared the fucking life out of me. I liked this. I got quite good at creating an initial image of somebody. Got really good at it. It's funny, charismatic, exciting, whatever. But when you start to see me on a daily basis, when I didn't have time to prepare and be and rejuvenate, and you had to see me in my lowest times, in my most tired of times, I feel like that person then wouldn't be enough. Do you know what I mean? And there was a lot of fear, and I think those fears, that fear of not being seen or not being accepted for who you really are, is such a fight or flight mechanism within people's head. It causes so much fear, should I say, that it does instigate cheating and the dropping them and swapping for somebody new.
That stops me from getting into serious relationships, because you think about, all right, so this girl, so I meet her mum and dad. Yeah, and I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but
No.
all right, so tell me about yourself. All right, so I've got a 17-year-old daughter that I hadn't seen for 2 years. I've come out of my second prison sentence in 2015. I went through 10 years of drug addiction. I don't have a car. I've got a motorbike. I've got a beard and tattoos. I'm currently living at my mum's house. The fact I'm trying to buy it for my mum is irrelevant. I live at my mum's house. She's going to go, like, we have that conversation with her dad who's like, I want someone who's going to look after my daughter and this and that, but this is the first impression they're going to get of me. So while I'm trying to say this is the real me isn't a selling point. Whereas now,
But
if I can talk about, you know, this is what I do as a job, and this is all the stuff I do for the community, and it
all you
shows
do is
that
you
I'm a
lead with
different
that.
person.
You lead with that, and then you talk about where you come from.
This is it. But it's still, it's the image of ex-prisoner, ex-drug addict, motorbike, tattoos, beard, because all them come with their own reputation. Do you know what I mean? And if my daughter brought a boy home saying he's just come out of prison, I would judge him, and I'll say that. And I'm all about second chances, but in the back of my mind, it'll always be, well, he's been to prison for this, so this is what I need to look at. I'd accept him, but I would be this
mindful.
is and
of course.
aware of, and this is what I need
But
to
would
know.
you
that.
respect her father if she wasn't mindful of you? I mean, don't allow the fact that he's going to be mindful of you impair your relationship or your self-image, because you know what you do on a day-to-day basis. You know where you were to where you are now. But at the same time, for just respect of the woman who you like, I'm not going to go as far as say I love, but the woman who you're involved with, the woman who you're involved with, would you respect her father if he didn't have that love for her in that way to perceive? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a give and take. It's like for you to respect him, he has to have certain images, a certain image to uphold, and for him to respect you, and you're gonna have your preconceived notions of one another. We do that. That's what we're talking about with the changing stages of a relationship. You get to know one another more. He's gonna come to see you hustle on a daily basis and still give time to his daughter and still make time to make her feel special, etc., and then he's gonna come to realize, fuck, this guy's a good guy. And it's like, it's gonna take time, but I get what you're saying though, to let other people's perceptions of you wriggle their way into your brain and paralyze you,
Yeah.
because they can do
My
sometimes.
worry is that people find out about me before they meet me. If I
fuck
get
them.
to meet somebody and
Yep.
we can talk,
Yeah.
then
See,
that's better than them knowing before and having prejudgments.
I have this is my genuine thing, and I can say this: I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks anymore. My biggest problem, and it's a mental health thing, it's low self-worth. So all the things, I mean, we have a lot of similarities, addiction, recovery, and things like that. And there's a reason why I moved away from the town I was in. I needed a fresh start with a new reputation, etc. Like, I could give a fuck. I wear on my sleeve to everybody who I am, what I've done, and how good of a person I am. But the biggest issue for me is the stuff inside. It's not what anyone else thinks, it's how I perceive myself. Do you know what I mean? And it's the low self-worth, and I'll destroy myself with those things. And I think for me, with bringing it, cycle it back around again in terms of relationships, like, I'm putting that on a pedestal. I say I love the chase. I say it's not really the chase I love. Like it's the bit I'm putting on a pedestal is the bit when you get past, when it starts to get serious. I'm just scared to fucking death of it because I'm not confident or have enough self-worth for myself when things get bad. That I always have that thing, that bell in my head that goes, let's have a think about this now. Do you really want to fuck somebody else up? Further on down the line, do you want to fuck yourself up? Do people have a perception that you've had 2 breakdowns in the past that have been bad where you shouldn't be here now? And that starts to run in my head.
But do you know what? I've seen some of the girls who I dated for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and they're all settled with families, and I just think, do you know what? I'm so glad that it didn't work out with us. I'm so glad that I got off, because now it's put you into this position where you're going to have a brilliant rest of your life. Whereas if you'd have stuck with me, I'd have dragged you through court and prison visits and all these other things. Like, if we'd have just tried to make it work.
But there's nothing worse though sometimes than looking back or revisiting stuff.
I told you about
shouldn't
people's
revisit.
relationship with time. People's relationship with time. People who get lost in the past, man.
Yeah.
They will.
Like, where does everyone stand on kind of like
One sec,
rekindling something with an ex?
Well,
I'm not going to talk on the subject, but
I've done it, but I just think I've got to a point now where, like, if it gets to a point where I'm with somebody and then it ends because I've exhausted all options. It ends because at that time that was what felt like the only option. So, and it's like when you second guess yourself, you make a decision, you take a new job, you buy a car you can't really afford, you get into a relationship and it turns out to be bad. But at that time, when you had to make that decision, it was the right decision to make, given the circumstances you were in. So you should never look back and regret any decision you made, because that was the right decision to make at the time. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't have made it.
Completely agree with that. I'm a bit of a weird one, but I'm best friends with my ex. I was with Chris for 5 years, and ending it with him was like the most heartbreaking thing I've ever done in my life. And you know, you can still see someone's face in your mind of when you've told them it or when they've got upset. And I think for me, when you see a guy get emotional, it really breaks my heart to see like a guy cry. And
never watch Toy Story with me.
No, don't. But when
The third one, you know, when they're on the conveyor belt and they're all just holding hands and like, that's it. Come on, let's do this together.
Oh, don't.
I cry over anything now. Like, honestly, I'm an emotional wreck most days.
That's getting cut and
That's fine. Put it out there, mate. Put it out there.
But yeah, so I and that was a very big conflict because we rented together, we lived together. He spent every family with my every Christmas with my family, and that was really hard because I was always conflicted, saying should I rekindle it, because my life was good, it was all right with him, and I knew there was always something missing. I tried going back, and straight away was like, no, what have I done? I shouldn't have done it, because I knew that it was done.
But
I think it's more of a case of the person whom you were at the time of even kindling relationship.
Yeah, definitely.
Meeting the people you are at breakup, they're not the same person.
No, absolutely not.
Which is clearly as to what has led to the breakdown.
But I think,
or a large part as the breakdown. Now, if you were to rekindle, for me personally, the only Free Willy on the screen that I have.
Yeah.
If you were to rekindle a relationship with a past lover, only after enough time had passed and enough circumstances had been experienced to evidence real growth in both individuals, because clearly there was some shit that broke down.
Yeah, definitely.
And therefore, for you to get back into it too quick does not leave the appropriate amount of time needed to overcome certain flaws in thinking, in behaviors,
or to grow,
and
or develop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If, however, after enough time has passed, if you can be mature enough to realize that in between that time apart, you've also been living. So you'll have had sexual partners, should have had sexual partners, should have been having this, should have been doing this. If you can then come back together and be strong enough and mature enough to recognize that, you know what, shit happened, we were where we were, but for whatever reason, this is starting to feel good again. Whoever you are now, whoever I am now, seems right. If after, and again, I would advise moving with a little bit of caution, because you don't want to get back into something that's going to fuck you up again. Tread carefully. But if it feels right, go with it. It's only you that fucking knows.
If you're going to rekindle something with anybody, so whether it's, the first girl for me or other people in your past or the guys, I think you've got to, whatever your issues were, if they haven't grown, you've got to in yourself grow and think, right, I have to get over this or deal with it, because otherwise it's still going to be there and it's not going to work.
But there's definitely something to be said for, like, I've been trying to have this situation recently with people where it's like, to try and have that thing where you can be friends with them, you're never going to be as close as you once were, because there are boundaries that may get crossed or whatever. But like, I'm trying to kind of have situations with exes and I've had serious relationships as where we can be friendly. You can spend time with them in a friendly atmosphere as long as you're aware of your boundaries and stuff. And I think that's, if you can get that with a situation, because there's nothing more sad, right? Because I think one of the biggest things when the relationships end, it's like you start picturing a future, right? In some respects, and then when that's gone, like, you've had someone that like you loved and cared about that much, and they ain't in your life anymore, and no way whatsoever, you don't suddenly stop caring about someone or stop wanting the best for somebody. So it's nice if you can have that situation where you can be friends. It's just a tricky one, isn't it? With the
I don't understand what that means. Look, for me and my kids' mom, like I said to you last time, I've got nothing but love for her. And I try to remain civil with her. But as we all know, I'm now in a relationship. I'd be lying if I said that's not had its little frictions between me and her. And I don't know what the fuck that's really all to do with. I think it's for anyone you've been with for a period of time to see them with somebody else, whether you love them or not, whether you want to be with them or not, it's going to hurt you. It's going to affect you. Whether you want to call that word hurt or just affect, it is what it's going to be. And I'm pretty sure, irrespective of being with Cheyenne, when I see her with somebody, it's going to affect me. It's like knee-jerk reactions. We're human beings at the end of the day. This is what I'm talking about. Let's stop denying our humanity. We are what we are. So yes, like I said, the relationship we had prior to me and Cheyenne being together, of being able to talk more freely about things and be a lot more jokey, I'm cutting that down. Like, we're just talking about the kids, which is cool for me, but there's no animosity. I don't know. For me, that's as best as I can feel I can reach with an ex, whereby there's no animosity. I can't feel like there's going to be a friendship.
Yeah, me and Chantel was on Facebook still. So she had some of my family. I had like a mum and a brother, and when we broke up, I removed all them, and then she sent me a friend request, and she sent me a message just saying, look, I want you in my life, even if it's just as a friend, and da-da-da. So I was like, okay, cool.
Sometimes that's dangerous, though.
Yeah, so we became friends on Facebook, and then there was messages about meeting up, and I was just like, I thought this was just friends, and we were friends up until last week, or maybe a few days ago, and I removed her from my Facebook because I ain't posted anything about what's going on with me and this girl, but I don't want to feel like I can't, because she will be upset,
I know that.
and I don't want to be responsible for her being upset.
Pain,
So it's I had to make a decision. It's either, and I don't want whatever I do in my life to be a secret. I don't want to put the show to all my friends except you know, I don't want to have to do that.
I know
you know,
exactly
so it's I had to make that decision where, and we don't speak enough for her to notice that. Well, she's not messaged me to say, have you took me off Facebook? So that's not happened.
The thing is, though, it's one of those things, if they message you and say that, it's because they are checking that you're still there.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I always think that if you remove somebody and they message you, why have you removed me? It's like, well...
How did you know?
But you're obviously
checking. It doesn't
checking.
message you to tell you.
Do you know what I mean?
Am I right in assuming, like, you feel like you're too old for bullshit games?
Yeah. I'm so... Yeah,
but
so
that's like
I went through a long time where I was just a knob. I was just a young lad, just doing whatever I wanted to do.
We all do that. I think we all do little bits and pieces.
Yeah,
like that. It's not wrong with it.
And now I feel like
image is like you slugs.
Yeah.
No, I'm fairly chill as a woman.
See,
I'd say.
I'm in a situation in terms of. Sorry, I just realised I talked over you.
It's fine. Not go for it.
I mean, all of you talked over me while I was trying to say something. But
I'm in a situation. So we're talking about like your relationship with
Sharon,
like your your kid's
my kid's mum.
I mean, like for me, I mean, I broke up with my daughter's like 13 like next year. Like I broke up with her mother when she was like 16 months old. Do you know what I mean? But like I'm in a situation where like she's got married. And like they're gonna have a kid, and it's like for me.
How did you feel during them milestones, during those things?
It was a long enough time that it passed through that I just wanted to be in a situation where like my daughter could see. I'm lucky my daughter never saw. She was too young to see me and her mum like fall out and hate each other and stuff. But I just same again. Like at one point I decided to have a child with her. You know, but we got married. Do you know what I mean? It's like I want to see her happy. I want to see her like excel and be and be where she wants to be in life and stuff. And it's like for me when I found out that they got engaged, I messaged him and just said, you know, like, you're a good bloke, like, you know, I'm happy for you both and shit. Same again when I found out when like they were expecting a kid, I did that same thing. I messaged them both, gave them my congratulations, because ultimately it's not a fake thing. I am genuinely happy.
It's good for you, man.
And I think that's the thing. You do get to a point where we have hated each other. We have had fucking arguments and the bullshit stuff that always happens. The childish stuff where you get things get personal with each other. Do you know what I mean? That's human nature. And anyone that hasn't been through that, I think sometimes maybe you have to go through a little bit of that to get to the point where you can go, you know what? Like we can have conversations now. We can have like laughs and jokes. We're never going to be best of friends, but like it's past. It's more than just amicable. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's a beautiful thing, because I think if I look at my daughter's situation, she's grown up in what her family situation and parental situation has been. That's her normal, and like she's now about to have a little brother or sister early next year that's going to have no relation to me, but that'll be just her normal, and that'll be that little brothers and sisters normal. And that's the thing. It's like what we do with those is on us, what behaviours we put forward and how we act. Do you know what I mean? And that wasn't the reason why I brought up like going back to exes. It was just something that popped in my head.
No, but even just touching on that, I mean, like I've just said, the current dynamic of me and my children's mother is going through a new phase of finding new ground. You know what I'm saying? We're not bad with each other. It's just we're not as friendly, chatty as we once were. Now, I'm pretty sure that'll average out over a few months. You know, it's all very new. She's going to get a new partner. You might rock the boat again a little bit, because I'm then having to conceive the idea of my children being in a household with a man that I've not run through my filter of making sure he's all right.
Good influence?
Yeah, I'm going to have to trust her judgment.
Yeah.
And I do. You know, she's a great mum, so I'm going to trust her. But there's always going to be that part of doubt in my mind that I don't know who the fuck this guy is. And I don't know how the fuck he's going to handle my children. Like, it's all good and well in being there for her. But is he going to extend that same arm of love to my kids.
Yeah.
But I think
and yeah.
having been through that, and I always think what I didn't want to do was be someone that was going to come across as being intimidating or someone that was going to have a problem with that situation. Do you know what I mean? Because I tried to think, and I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I tried to think, what's he going to be thinking? That like, he's meeting me and like, you know, like he's in this, you know, my daughter lives in his house, or he's getting married to my ex, like, and I just try to think, fuck it, I would hate to be in that situation, thinking I don't want him to think this guy's a dick, because no doubt we've all done it, and to some extent where we talk about bad experiences with exes when we probably shouldn't do, and we probably conflate it, and it's all very one-sided, but we probably do that. And I'm thinking,
I never slug off my baby mum in public.
But same again, whether it's in public or not, we've all had those things where we have said things that maybe we shouldn't have said or done, when no one's perfect. But in those situations, I was thinking, you know what, right? Like I want this guy to like me. I want this guy to feel like he can talk to me, because whether I like it or not, right?
If he's all right for your daughter, if he's showing love to your daughter,
but that's the
then
thing.
By extension, he gets my love.
But this is the thing. This is the thing,
respect.
because this is why I looked at it, right? Is that like that's dad number 2, right? So it's like if I want to be like I can be more involved in my daughter's lives and the decisions that happen in their daughter's lives if I'm put aside any kind of male ego and try and be as amicable as possible. Do you know what I mean? Because ultimately I did the whole thing where it's like, you know, like I didn't need to say it. It's just one of those things where I'm like, you know what I mean? Like that's, you know, there's the parental team is 3 now. Like you're not a stepdad, you're a dad. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, but I'm doing that because I'm aware of where the power lies. I don't live in that house. Do you know what I mean? I am the separated parent, but I did that so that I could put forward and say, well, I'm prepared to be amicable. I'm prepared to put this out there, so you invite me in.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
So I'm that guy now. So she's got 2 little kiddies, a little boy and a little girl.
Okay.
And so I've met them, and luckily it went really well. But I was more worried about meeting them 2 than I was about meeting her parents, which I haven't met yet, her sister, which I haven't met yet. There's a barbecue on Saturday where we're going to be meeting all of them.
I was like, well, you didn't.
No. Like her parents, or even parents before, because I think, like you said, there is a lot of responsibility, even though I'm not going in there thinking I'm going to be a stepdad. I'm there with her, but obviously I'm going to be there when certain things happen. You know, and I'm going to have to either give advice or use my morals to resolve situations, or and there's a lot of pressure there. And I think if that didn't go well, if meeting them didn't go well, and I think that would cause serious problems for us continuing to date.
Yeah, no.
I find it really interesting listening to all 3 of you as dads doing that, because my dissertation at uni, I wrote about...
Oh, look at me, I've got a degree. Go on.
Wow, are you all right? You finished?
Did you just intellectual shame her?
Yeah.
Thanks, that was great.
Wait till break.
Which we are going to do. That's why it says Free Willy on there, because we all need a wee. Right, go on.
Right, anyway, cockend. What I focused on, because I always thought of myself as a little bit different in the terms of how I perceive relationships, how I have relationships. My parents have been split up since I was, I think, about 1, something, you know, really, really young. And the dissertation that I wrote was all about how mum and dads, when they're split up, their relationships with the kids, how that then affects their children's relationships, how they perceive sexual relationships and dating. Because I was very strongly under the impression of seeing my mum date, you know, numerous people as a single mum. She's going to do. My dad had still got the same relationship with my stepmum. How that has affected me growing up, and very much like, I don't want to get married now. And is it my parents that have made me have them thoughts? I'm not fussed for having children. Again, is it because of the relationships my parents have had? I'd like to consider myself as fairly chill as a woman. I'm very chill. I'm not into drama. You know, you were talking about how he's got older, which is why he wants an easier life when it comes to the dating scene. But I'm 26 and I'm very much that way as well. And I've not gone through the experience as you have. Well, yeah, life in general. But it just makes me kind of always question that, is it because of the childhood and the experiences that I've had that have made me this way? Because I'm not 36, but I'm very much like that. I don't want drama. So it just makes me. It's nice to hear your views as men on how you bring your children up.
That's good though, because
I
you're
do like a
10
little bit of
years.
drama, though,
You're
from time
10
to
years
time.
ahead. It took me this long to realise.
Yeah, I didn't
You
get.
don't
I
need
didn't
the
get
bullshit.
there.
You
I
don't
didn't get there
need all
till
that.
this
Yeah.
age either.
Yeah, and I
And
just
I-
think you go through life like chasing things, like you're told that you need these things, and then it started when I became self-employed, and I just think there's certain stuff I don't need to do.
Yeah,
I
totally.
don't need to worry about. I don't need to worry about that. And then a longer relationship made me realise that I can get a house. I can, go on holidays with somebody. I haven't been on holiday since 2013, and that's when I went snowboarding because it was a free holiday. Before that, I went to Amsterdam once and then Florida in 95 and 2000 with my mum and dad. I've never been into holidays. And it's, to me, it's something you either do with the lads, but then because I was a drug taker, not a drinker, I couldn't take drugs across to another country. Or you do it in a relationship, and I was never in a relationship long enough to be able to plan or go on a holiday.
I get that 100%.
So,
like I'm the same when it comes to the holiday situation,
Yeah.
and certain things that you do, that you
That was
might
my
have done in
fault.
relationships and stuff. Like I always said, it's like a lot of my 20s. I spent my 20s in 2 relationships that didn't work out, and ultimately I was never really happy in. So I made the opinion, and I still do it a bit now. Just I openly admit I'm a raver. Like I like to go out, and I'm not saying I'm trying to recapture stuff, but like I have a different view on what's important now because I've chased all that before, and I was never happy. So now my view on things changed, but it's not. But I'm less than looking to settle down. I spent 10 years settling down, and I'm looking for my freedom, man. And anything that encroaches upon my freedom in my life and how I want to have fun and enjoy myself and express myself, that's anything that encroaches on that. It's gone.
It's expectations. Like my newsfeed at the minute is full of people getting engaged, having kids, and
I feel sorry for those people. Though.
It's as if though that we
'Cause I've
are
been there.
meant to be that way, and I sometimes feel
It's a
like,
lot
is
of
it just
pressure.
me that doesn't want these things? Because I've got friends
No,
who
you've
depression,
just
I
broken
can
through.
imagine.
You've just broken away from social norms. That's strength.
But
That's power.
I've got friends that people. I'm going to say friends. I'm going to say acquaintances because I don't want to worry anybody. But I've got friends that have married and in relationships that have broken down close to divorce. I've got people who I know that their partners are cheating on them, and they're in these long-term relationships. It just makes you kind of question. We all seem to aspire to have that relationship or that
You aspire
commitment.
to fit a social story.
Yeah,
I think
and
for
actually,
me
it's
the
not
only thing
always-
that's changed is I'm thinking long term. Everything was short term jobs. I have a job for you, I have a relationship for 9 months. Everything was immediate. Whereas now it's just sort of it's cool. We'll book something for next year.
I'm not at that
We'll
point
look at
yet.
this. We'll look at that. And
I'm
I'm
not
just,
at that point. I'm too scared to think too far in
But
the
I
future.
was always chasing everything, so it was like everything needs to be now.
Yeah.
Everything, right? So I need to make this amount of money by this date so that I can do this thing. And it's just like I've wanted to go see Formula One for years, but drugs are always more important. Why am I going to spend hundreds of pounds on a ticket when? And then I'm just thinking, do you know what? I'll just book it. I was meant to book it this year for Silverstone, but obviously everything locked down.
See, I've always struggled to just go with the flow, though.
So
Like,
I'm busting for a piss.
I've
And
always-
you talk about flow. Come on.
Shall we
Let him
go
finish
there?
his point and let's break it. Let's break it.
Oh, we did this last time though when it came to his final word.
Nah,
and it
this
took
isn't
about
a
20
final word,
minutes.
this
He's
is
not
20
getting a
minutes.
final word today. He's not getting his final thoughts.
He can. I'll just edit it out.
Have that for like.
Are you editing nowadays?
Well, I've only got one camera. I can play him out with now.
Yeah, my only point was like living in the moment. That's always been my difficulty. I've always been very locked in the past, or even if I am in the moment, I'm always fucking fretting about tomorrow or what's going to go wrong or how people are thinking and feeling about me. I've never really just been in the moment, just enjoying the moment. And I think that's what everyone's really chasing, but also not chasing the moment to escape the past, and with no real perception of tomorrow, because tomorrow does come, despite the saying tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow does come, and with it is bills and problems and everything else, and you have to be ready for it and ready to handle it. So, but I'm just trying to I think I've cultivated a mind strong enough to handle people's bullshit and to realize I'm pretty smart, I'm pretty capable, and now it's just about having belief in that to just enjoy and embrace the now. That's what I'm kind of doing with the partners that I've been mentioned. What is that, for the 12th time?
I want to embrace
13th
the
time?
toilet now.
Now I got to start.
Let's do it. Let's go. So I think we should start with Amy.
With me.
Yeah.
What do you want to know about me?
Morals. Phil, just make sure that camera's still going.
Yeah, so I...
Wait.
He's got to clap first, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Take 3.
Go.
Thank you for that. That was brilliant.
Don't make the same thing when you go
round
like
of
that.
applause.
You've got really small hands.
Go.
Fuck's sake.
I'm gone. Right, so I picked... I feel like I'm getting a dead stare.
Phil still looks like he's just being told his dick's tiny.
That's payback for earlier.
That was the look on your face.
The thing is, small hands make your dick look massive.
What is that?
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway,
Go.
so I thought I would maybe get discussing morals, as in your own personal views, and the law around the citizenship of Shamima. So obviously in the news it was that the Home Secretary wanted her to have her citizenship taken off of her. And
let's go one step further. Let's explain who Shamima is.
Yeah, so she obviously five years ago now, isn't it? Was a young girl. She was 15, and she was groomed by ISIS to join. And she fled with 2 other girls. Since then, she has had 3 children, which have unfortunately died.
She was 16 at the time, right?
15 when she left,
15.
but then obviously she married at 15 as well. The man that she married knew she was 15, but because... And he stated that he knew she was young, and normally he wouldn't have gone with a girl so young, but because she was so set against getting married, he went with it. And she's had 3 children. Unfortunately, all 3 have died. And now she is wanting to return to the UK. The UK isn't wanting to allow her to keep her citizenship.
The Home Secretary, not the UK.
Yeah, okay, the Home Secretary, the government that we have. The reason that they can do this is because they are claiming Bangladeshi national citizenship as well because of her mother's side. So they are saying the way the law states is that if it is in the country's and national security best interest, you can take someone's citizenship off them as long as it doesn't make them stateless, which means she wouldn't be stateless if she had Bangladeshi citizenship. The issue is there that Bangladesh have stated that if they take her on, she will be given the death penalty because that is the punishment for terror attacks.
Fair enough.
So,
Didn't she have a child? Didn't one of her... Wasn't when those BBC interviews were going on a few months ago, probably a lot longer than a few months ago, to be fair, but when she was being interviewed about initially coming back,
yes,
didn't she have a baby?
She did. Her argument then was to come back to the UK because she wanted to get definite medical care and support for her child because it was young. Yes, all 3 have now passed because she's still in a refugee camp.
So from obviously you've raised the point, the topic obviously for us to discuss. Shall we all just go around and give our views as to whether we think?
Phil, will you just look it up? Shamima Begum.
As to whether we think she should be allowed back in.
Yeah, because like I said, I find this of interest.
And then we can go into reasons why.
Yeah, just because as my job role, this is something obviously I would have to remain neutral with. But we, as I mentioned last podcast, we teach about human rights, we teach about the law, and this is something that very much is your own personal morals and beliefs versus the law here, and the government's take on it as well.
So what's your take on it?
She can't.
Well, I can and I can't. I can very much see both sides. I'm very conflicted in myself because she was groomed. She was 15. So if I think about if I spoke to you earlier, if I make it subjective and think about the students that I teach at 15 being groomed online, it's a long process. It's not something that you just hit somebody up online and they go and risk their lives and fly out to you. So that part of me thinks she's a child at the time. Her citizenship is here. She has human rights, but then if I think of it as a national scale, it's about more than one person in this instance, more than just her. And as a country, we have a criminal age of responsibility of 10, and she was 15. So for me, I am on the fence.
Can anyone mind if
but
I
obviously
go ahead?
respond?
What we're doing, we're just saying whether we think yes or no, and then
I suppose a quick explanation. See, mine's very simple, and I think yes, she should come back. And there's a few points I want to make, like the ethical, moral road to walk isn't an easy one, and sometimes we have to make some tough decisions and we have to do things that aren't popular to other people. But ultimately, it's simple. She was 15 years old. She was a victim of grooming. A lot of people have strong views when it comes to grooming in this country. This girl's a victim. She was born in this country. She's a British citizen. We have a responsibility to her because she was a minor when this happened. I know it's not always a popular opinion to state it, but we talk about, in national safety. It happens far too much in this society, and I saw it directly from a very good friend of mine, one of my oldest friends, what happened after 9/11 and how he was treated. And we have a portion of society that are ostracised and we looked upon with suspicion. And to be fair, there's an issue with extremism, and I think unless we address that issue, we're never going to solve it. And I feel it's in the nation's best interest in terms of safety to speak to these victims and to find out how they were brainwashed, to find out what tactics were used, to find out how we can stop this happening further. That's just my personal opinion on it. Because if we don't, then we can't claim it's in the country's national interest in regards to safety. Because if we have a way to stop that, if we have a way to have a better understanding so we can prevent more young, vulnerable people from becoming victim of it, we should take that opportunity. That's an issue for me. In regards to human rights, they trump everything. And I just feel that we can't turn around and go, let's make this girl stateless and let's just send her off to a country where we know that she's going to be she's going to face a death penalty. Whether people like that or not, it's not. I'm not going to apologise for.
Does she
for my
have to
opinion on it.
leave the country? Was she in Syria?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does
she's a
she have to
refugee camp.
live? Just okay.
Yeah, so
she won't be given citizenship within Syria. I don't even know what the current. I'm so shit with geography,
to play
geopolitics and stuff. I don't know what the current situation is with Syria. I don't even know if is it a fallen state.
well, they're still in conflict, aren't they? Really?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Yeah,
she,
we're still funding more there.
could she get citizenship there?
I doubt it.
No.
Okay.
To play devil's advocate to your point, then again, it's not necessarily my personal view. It's just a devil's advocate here. Yes, she's a victim of grooming. So on the return, you're saying like to learn from her. So is that essentially a free pass of?
No.
I'm going to say how would you deal with it? Just because I'm thinking if I'm thinking of young boys and girls, and we spoke earlier about gangs that teenagers are getting into in the UK. Are we saying, right, okay, we're not going to punish you. You're over the age of 10. The law says you're criminally responsible, but actually we want to learn from you. There has to be something in there that, because she has committed a terror crime. Not saying that she's gone out and killed people, but she has gone to join a terror organisation.
I see that point of view. There's two ways to look at it. So we bring her back and she faces the law and the justice system here. She doesn't come back and get off scot-free. So she'll come back and she'll face up for the crimes that she's committed here. I've got no problem with that. We have a judicial system in this country. Whether we agree it's perfect, 'cause I don't necessarily agree it is perfect, but as a British citizen, she has rights, and she should come back and she should face the consequences, and that means the law.
Fair trial.
Yeah. Because that's really important, because we can't. Nothing else trumps human rights. But the fact of the matter is, we can't just condemn people and write them off. In any situation, and this is the tough bit. This is why I will always be in opposition to the death penalty. I'll always be in opposition to that kind of supposed punishment.
Okay,
but just to finish off. But the point with this, I know it's not easy for people to look at, but we're not giving them a free pass. If we've got an opportunity to find out how this happened, what tactics are being used, it's the same. You can switch it up if it was Shamima Begum or anybody else that fell into, whether it be street violence, gang violence, whether it be drugs, anything like that. If we can understand what's creating the situation where people are becoming victims to these things, surely it's in our interest to stop further situations from happening, to gain a better understanding, to stop it happening going forward. That's just my personal opinion. Now, people can have a different opinion, that's fine. This situation for me, it's frustrating because and I understand people's anger. I completely understand people's anger. It's frustrating for me because when we're in a situation where we're prepared to deny someone their human rights, that's scary for me, regardless of what they've done. Human rights aren't It shouldn't be something that's seen as a privilege. It's a fucking right. It's something that we all have, and we all deserve a chance to redeem ourselves and to rehabilitate and become better members of society. That doesn't mean that she comes back and have the right wing view that she'll get a council house and all this and all that. No, she'll come back and she'll face trial.
But then that's the law that needs changing, because the law states the Home Secretary can take someone's citizenship off them.
And that's
if it's in the human rights best interest of the country. But
it's not in the best interest of the country, and that's how I feel.
How is it?
Because that's what I mean. So if we have an opportunity to learn something, should we not be learning something?
I see that point. That's a good point.
But I don't want to talk for too long on this subject.
No, I completely. This is why I found it was interesting.
So was that your brief answer? Then we go around and go into more detail. I think
the thing is, it's tricky.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
And I'm picking my words very carefully here.
I'm sorry.
Because I've tried not to talk too much on social media about this subject, and I'm very vocal, normally political. But I've tried not to talk too much about this because I know good people that have an opposing view from me. It doesn't mean they're wrong. The only way we come to terms is to have a discussion about it. So I'm choosing my language.
Let me hear your point.
I think we should allow her back and then punish her on our laws.
Should get 14 years roughly.
So
less than murder.
For me, yes, she's gone over there and she's done whatever training or joined whatever club, society, team, whatever they are, which is terrorism. She's not committed any any crimes. She's not committed any attacks, but going out there, knowing that you're going out there, knowing that these are the consequences of you going there and doing this thing. But I wouldn't like to be given the death penalty for a decision I made at the age 15.
I agree.
I wouldn't want to be judged on my actions when I was 15. I wouldn't want to be judged on my actions from 10 years ago. I'm 36. I wouldn't want to be judged on how I acted when I was 26, never mind 15. And I just think if the options are she either comes here and goes to prison or she gets the death penalty, I think that there should only be one option.
If that's the only options, I completely agree.
Yeah, you're either going to send this girl to die because she was manipulated into doing something that she knew was wrong. How many... You spoke about manipulation at 19-year-old. You know, different situation,
context, yeah, but I see
completely different context. 19-year-old. How many times have we been talked into doing something when we were 15? Oh, steal that thing from the shop, smash that window, throw this thing at that bus. So, and they're just little things.
I appreciate that. My only point would be, there's 2 points. Did you see her interview with BBC when she did have the child, when she was first asking to come back?
No.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
What we saw...
No, I'm just asking. Let me finish my point, but did you see it for now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see a lick of remorse in her eye?
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, I suppose on that subject. So, and I'm hoping Phil will understand this, right? So when you're in the fix of something, so before you got clean as an addict, there was points in that. Did you have remorse for mistakes that you made at certain points, or did you have it afterwards? Because it's difficult when you're caught in something. Because if people will admit that she's a victim of a grooming gang, and they'll use the term brainwashing. It's difficult when she's in the situation she's in to come out and say, "I've got remorse." It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. And we're dealing with a young person. And I did not like the interview, and I wish the interview wouldn't be shown because I felt like it created that opinion. Which then made it difficult for me to hold my position.
But this is where I'm a little less inclined to agree with you that it created an image, because it was unedited. It was a 10-minute full-length interview. The camera stayed on her the entire time. There were no cut scenes between things. Audio wasn't cut. It was completely her as she was able to present herself. And as I said, I was watching her eyes, and there was no lick of remorse or grief or thinking that I fucked up and I am so sorry, I want to come back, I want to repent for my sins, from whatever I want to. Now I understand the predicament she was potentially in. She's in Syria still, she's not on UK land, therefore she hasn't got the UK safety of the UK embassy and government and whatever protecting her. So I understand that those are components that could potentially make it awkward for her to express any remorse. But at the same time, she's asking to come back to the UK. So that in itself is her admitting some level of fault. So if you're going to admit fault even partially, why not do it completely and therefore say, look, I fucked up and then whatever. I agree that you shouldn't be held accountable for something you've done at a younger age for the entirety of your life. If you put in the time and effort to reflect and to really try to seek redemption. Now, her making the choice to go across to another country, first of all, it's all hyperbole. We don't know what the actual incremental step-by-step things were that affected her brain to say, let's go over. We're hoping that it was brainwashing, that it was manipulation, that it was etc., this, that, and the other. But we don't know for a hardcore fact that that's what it was. We have to take it with a pinch of salt, is all I'm saying. For her to come back, there is the immediate thing of her. Does she pose a threat to the UK national security? Potentially. She might be a double agent. We don't know. Probably isn't. Of course, we can. I know it's unlikely perhaps, but it's still something that when you're in a position of government power, when you've got other people's lives and the security of the entire nation to take into consideration, these are points you've got to take very seriously. So bearing in mind that's a potential reality, to conversate, to even just discuss the topic of letting her back in or not. Therefore, like I said, it creates an air of complexity to the conversation that we're not necessarily having to really tackle with. And then furthermore, the outreaching point of it is by letting her back, what message does that give to any future potential would-be person who would decide to go over to Syria or any other terrorist group or country, as to how, if they were to just change their mind and say, I want to come back now, what does it create for them? So
Can I respond?
yeah, by all means, man.
Just to that point, so what does it say to people? But then we're assuming, and we had this before we sat back down, that's a black and white answer. What does it say to other people? Because every single situation will be different. We have to, unfortunately, remove the emotion.
Which is why I was asking about the remorse in her.
But we have to remove the emotion from this, and try and look at things with what we do with the facts. One of the facts is that she's a victim of grooming.
We hope she's a victim.
But that's the point. But like, she was 15.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing for me. In regards to the opportunity to show remorse, when you're in a situation, sometimes you fucking.
So if she was 20, would it have been different?
It would have been
If she was a
different.
boy, would it have been different?
But fair point. But let's deal with the situation we've got. Right?
Is, yeah, okay.
She's 15. She wasn't 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always easy when to make a decision to look for redemption and to look for remorse and to find the opportunity to change and decide that you want to rehabilitate or you want to make things right. So the point of view of in that interview, it's a 10-minute interview and it's hard from that. And I get what you're saying. I'm not saying it was edited. I'm not saying it was cut in any kind of specific way. I just think it's a difficult situation if she's still in that same situation.
I get that. I accept that.
And that's the thing. And it's a I know it's a real tricky one. And there's no definitive answer. We can't flip a coin and say yes or no. We can't. This is the difficult thing about this is that for me it's very straightforward, and we have to look at ethics and morals, and it's not easy to walk that path. And sometimes we have to make some difficult decisions, and it's too big of an opportunity for me now. So if she comes back and we say, if it turns out she's not a victim of a grooming gang and she knew all along what she was doing, if we follow the process properly and she's allowed the opportunity to have counselling and to have the rehabilitation and to have a process that allows her to be like to have the remorse and to openly communicate. If it turns out that she's not, and it was that she wasn't groomed, and it was cold-hearted, and she's just an evil, horrible, disgusting person, then fine. But we can't make that decision until we bring her back. We provide some counselling. allow her to have that rehabilitation, allow her to have that understanding, because ultimately at the end of the day, she's a 15-year-old kid.
No, she's 20 now.
But she was
when
this happened.
Time, yeah.
But at the time, she's a 15-year-old kid. Right?
So this is what I'm saying. The interview that was had with her was last year.
But Sam, again, she's still in that. Where is she still?
She's in Syria.
Where is she in Syria?
In a refugee camp.
Exactly.
She was asking to come back to the UK.
But it doesn't. Yeah, but she's asked to come back to the UK. But what humanity is there? What
No.
What kind of
Just take that into
situation?
consideration. She was asking to come back to the UK. So that right there, you've already. She's basically saying Syria's a shit place. So she's asking to come back to the UK. So she's already revoked her allegiance with who was it? Was it ISIS?
Yeah.
She's already revoked her allegiance with ISIS by admitting she wants to come back to the UK. So just the mere admission, she's already putting herself at jeopardy of any potential.
Stop there. So this is what she's put. She's put, mentally, I'm in a really bad way. I need therapy to deal with my grief. It is so hard. I've lost all my children.
Mm-hmm.
I have no real friends. I have lost the friends who came with me. Now I do not have anyone. I would like to be at home. There is more safety in a British prison, more education and access to family. And then it says, I hate these women and what they stand for and what they believe in, and that they think they can terrorise anyone who does not share their views.
Okay.
So based on that.
No, I can't base it on that.
But I'm just to stop a second. Just stop a second.
I'm listening.
So we're basing everything on this 10-minute interview, but these are also her words.
But those are her words in print.
But
I saw the words come out of her mouth, and I watched her eyes on the other interview. If I was to watch the interview that came from,
can you get the interview on, Phil?
I just want
YouTube.
to throw in there. Sorry, where it says the whole "I have no real friends" down there. Just. Like I said, I'm very undecided on this because of all the different viewpoints, and I very much agree with the whole. If
just go on YouTube,
I'd never want capital punishment, but also, like you said, there is the threat to the UK. But potentially, I had a friend who, that statement that was just on the screen then about mentally, I've got no friends left, that said if her friends hadn't died. She still had children, would she be pleading to come back?
There you go. I completely understand that. So let me just throw something out there then. So how do we deal with the situation? How do we deal with a situation where we are finding that there are British people, that's all I'm going to describe them as, British people that were born in Britain, that went through an education system in Britain, that lived within British society? How do we address the issue, and how do we change the fact that within this country, British people are being radicalised, are being groomed? How do we change that? That's the thing for me. How do we change that? Because we know it's an issue, and then
now the problem is, my answer to your question is by not letting her come home, by letting her face the ultimate penalty of, if you go away and do this.
But it doesn't change it. So we kill her. So we allow her to go forth and to be. To be killed, yeah. Let's put it that way. So, what do we do from the missed opportunity that we could do to learn what happened to her and how it happened to her,
and how it can happen? Skype call. You don't need to do that.
But then what are we gonna do? So with this situation,
send out counsellors, send out whatever people you need to extract.
It's the same. So you learn from her situation. But it's the same. You change the crime, because she's not the first. Person that's got out there. So how was she recruited? What was that process? How long did it take? What was the process for her moving out there?
We're also dealing with.
Think about anything like paedophilia. So,
but that's what she's been a victim of.
But we're going to keep sending them to prison. But we're going to learn through their means of how they interact with young people.
But not if we don't actually try and rehabilitate these people and learn how. Because here's the thing.
There's not to say that she will cooperate and talk about,
which is fine. And I don't want to be the only person championing this cause, but it's like anything. So like I've been.
Is this our interview?
We just need to know which one it is. I've been
dealing with mental health issues from since 2008, since I've been addressing stuff. It's been 12 years. Do you know what I mean? It's a long process, and I've not faced the stuff that girl's had to face. Essentially it's rape, it's the grooming, it's the situation she's been. Let me finish this point. Let me finish this point. Right. So I'm just talking about from my situation. Some people could say I've lived a privileged life.
Yeah.
it's not always a straightforward situation. So let's send across some counsellors, let's send across some therapists. And how long are we given that situation?
Look,
But here's the point, because it's not a straightforward situation where you could turn around and say, well, we'll do it for 12 weeks and we'll see where we get at the end of the 12 weeks. It's like anything. It's like recovery. How many times have you spoken to people that have been in recovery that have had to relapse 5, 6, 7, 8 times, have had to be on the point of death multiple times before they have that moment where they decide to change? I know it's a hard one to get to the situation, but rehabilitation, going through that therapy or process, is not a straightforward one. This girl's a victim of rape.
So on that then, so you think about how many people get into recovery saying, I never want to use drugs again. I tell my mum, I promise you 100% I'm never going to use drugs again, and then they do. And then they say, I was just, it was just old behaviours, so then you get into recovery again. I know, but you've said about 5 or 6 times in recovery, so how do we know that she could come back? And even if this interview makes me think, oh, do you know what, I believe her. Yeah. How do we know she won't get groomed again? How do we know that she won't relapse?
Using that same argument, why the fuck should we help addicts? Because how many of them relapse? How many of them fall back into addiction and start using again and start making the bad decisions again, commit crimes again, end up homeless again? Because it's that same thing again, isn't it? That way, using that same logic, why are we helping addicts?
Helping addicts, for instance, because it is analogous, to be fair, but less to do with organizations that help out addicts, because at that point then will be, well, you're going to continually have to help addicts because there's a financial incentive for you as the worker to do so. You've got a mortgage to do so. Let's apply it to the family members of addicts. A mother will only put up with her son's addictive behaviors and the chaos that ensues because of it for so long before she says fuck off and you go handle your shit and come back once you've sorted it out. There's only so much of a limit any person
but if we do that in this situation, she can't fuck off and come back.
She can't.
But that's the whole point.
And I get what your point is.
That's the whole point.
Complicated because the choices are prison
we can't throw people away in society with
no, but I'm just saying
this girl's a victim.
But you were just talking about drug addiction and
but I am talking
continuously working with them when they fuck up and come back. I'm talking about that on an organizational level. Yeah, you are going to continuously work with them because
if she has the punishment of going to prison and comes out and then makes a mistake again, obviously I've got no experience with a drug addict. No, but let me just finish. With a drug addict, you've got the relapse, you've got the support still, could go back to prison. With the kind of crime that she's being accused of, this isn't a second chance, third chance, fourth chance kind of situation.
No,
because
I understand that.
There's more victims. I think that's the point you're trying to get across, wasn't it? That there's more. It's a bigger picture, isn't it?
So we care about more victims. So what if we could learn something from this girl that could stop more victims from?
I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a good point I heard, but
that's the biggest issue.
Why does that learning have to be done here?
But is that something that they're offering? Is that what they're suggesting, or are they just saying she'll come over, she'll go to prison?
But she's been denied that opportunity. Like she should come back and she should face the law and the judicial system here. But with that, she should.
Let's watch this video. Push play for.
It's 10 minutes, mate.
Well, we only need.
It depends which one you've picked. You picked the one where she's still got a child, or the one with after the child died.
Is this the newer one?
The newer one's without the child.
No, that's got the child.
That's got the child. She's done one since.
See, but I'll agree. Look at that, ISIS bride. They are trying to contextualize it in the minds of the UK to say fuck this girl. I'm just trying to judge her on her.
All right. So Phil's just made a good point.
What was that?
Wait a minute. So because she's been made out to be a mini celebrity now, everyone knows who she is, and is that going to encourage other people to do similar things, make it look attractive?
Make what look attractive though?
Joining ISIS.
Well, she's not had a good fucking run by the scenes of it, so it don't make it look very appealing.
Yeah, but loads of people know who she is. Like the situation she's in now, but if you go to
the notoriety, potentially, is that what you're talking about?
So will that lead on to people going out there and going the full way to do some dangerous stuff?
But we've had that in this country already, haven't we?
Or does the UK make an example of it to stop others?
Like I've said, I think there's two ways in which it's being conceived, and this is what's creating the conflict. It's she's an individual. She was young. and she's now asking to come back. That's one way in which it's being perceived. And then it's the way in what she represents. She's gone away from her country to join another country's cause that could potentially have come and tried to attack our country, and now she's asking to come back. And it's what does she represent to other Woodbine potential terrorist ease from joining. So it's them two stories, it's them two contexts in which you're fighting against. Me, like I said, we have to make it whatever fucking way it's dealt with. We need to deal with it in a manner which it does promote. You leave our country, you go against our people. Like this is a problem as well, right? It's like we don't even fucking know what it means to be British. To be British nowadays is almost said to be synonymous with colonialism and white supremacy and some badness. It's like people have lost pride in what it means to be British, even up until today.
Just in that interpretation of being British.
What?
Just in that interpretation of being British.
But that's what the main
what I mean.
interpretation of is being pushed.
But we can be ashamed of our past and still be proud.
One second. I think this is the thing about it, right? What we need to do is talk about, look, if Britain is about multiculturalism, right, then we have to endorse that whatever cultural elements which exist within any pocket, it's not about the color of your skin. We don't give a fuck about the color of your skin. It's about what you bring to each other within this country. Would you fight and die for the country that gives you the opportunities that it gives you? That for the people that it promotes to say, love one another? Because if you will, then I'll fight for you. If she was saying, I have come to realize what the UK has to offer. I come to realize how fucking good I had it. And I just realized how much I fucked up. I am so sorry. I know I have to go back and I have to do the time. I am sorry. I didn't do it maliciously. I was coerced. I was manipulated. It is what it is. I'm so sorry, but I'm willing to take the time with it.
But equally
I'd say fucking bring her back, man.
Would you take back a cheating girlfriend?
Cheating girlfriends
Yeah.
doesn't pose a risk to national security.
Would you take back
potentially?
Personally,
Or my cheating girlfriend, me taking her back, isn't going to encourage the potential other terrorists joining groups.
Would you take back a cheating girlfriend?
Would I take back? Yes or no, right?
Well, it totally depends on the context.
She's cheated on you, and you broke up, and now she said to you,
What do you mean? Did she go and sleep with my best friend? Did she do it sober? Did she kiss someone? Did she fuck someone? Did she tell me? Did I find it out?
All right, she slept with somebody.
She slept with someone. How did I find out?
On Facebook, social media.
Did she tell me with remorse in her eyes?
No.
Did she tell me no? Well then fuck.
But you can't compare
now,
that.
But now a couple of years later, she's saying to you, "Look, okay." Just everything you said then about if she came back and said all these things.
If she came back with genuine remorse, I might forgive her.
But if you
so therefore I'd forgive her, but I'd never take her back. Now,
line?
in terms of this, we're talking about country. So I'd forgive her, but I'd never look at her as a national citizen in the same way. You did go against national security, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on you. I'm sorry, but you fucked with your own trust in where we like the kind of positions you get in society. You're never gonna become prime minister. Put it that way, right? You've been over there. You're not gonna come back over and become a fucking prime minister or any kind of national where you've got a lot of authority in society.
How do you draw the line between remorse and manipulation?
Like I've just said, she's not if she was demonstrating,
but like he made the point about
like
Bundy.
you said, no, like I said,
me.
No, sorry. What you said was she's lost the kids, she's lost her friends, she's got no money, she's in an asylum, refugee camp,
Yep.
right? All of these things are saying she's got fuck all over there.
I agree.
That's the only reason she wants to come back. If she had everything out there and still then realized what the fuck am I doing and decided to come back,
Can I?
come on now, brother.
That's
an easy choice.
Sorry, just to then go what Phil was saying though. He's again, this is devil's advocate. He's saying if your girlfriend has cheated, she's got nowhere else to live, she's got no friends because they've all fallen out with her for cheating on you. Would you then take her back? No,
to expand the situation.
To expand it to what you've just said. She wants to come home because of X, Y, and Z. Would you take the girlfriend back if it was because she had nothing else?
No.
Okay. Can I just raise a point though? Right. So we know she's in a refugee camp.
Yeah.
We don't know who she's surrounded by. We don't know whether she's scared to openly talk about stuff. Like this is the thing. There's so much that we don't know, and all we can do is make assumptions.
No. All we can do is go off of the facts. Let's not make assumptions.
We don't know all the facts, though.
Exactly. No, we don't know all the facts. We know a few.
Finish my point, Stephen.
Yeah, go on.
Right? So, we can make assumptions. How do we gain the facts? Nice and simple, not like a long drawn on paragraph. How do we ascertain the facts of the situation, the whole facts of her entire situation?
It depends what facts you're talking about.
No, the entire facts of everything in this girl's situation,
Okay.
from day one to the current situation. Right? Just stop a second.
You just asked about what the facts
I'm not
were.
fucking finished. But how do we gain? How do we gain those? We don't gain those.
We need some popcorn.
We don't gain those by condemning her, discarding her, and leaving her gone. Right? But that's the whole point. So how do we
She's been
gain
asking
that?
to come back since last year, right?
But
You telling me there's not been a whole team of motherfuckers on there trying to get whatever evidence?
no,
they
there
needed?
hasn't been. So
What?
So will you put that list back on?
mate, do you know what?
I'm saying, do you not think there's been a team of motherfuckers out there trying to gauge
No.
what evidence
No,
led her to the situation?
that's
and
exactly
why
what I'm
she-
saying. There hasn't been. She hasn't.
How do you know that?
Okay, can we Google it? Has she
No,
had?
fuck that. You said there isn't.
but
Now
that's
you're
the
saying
point.
Google it.
But
You said it like a
that's the
fact, and now you're saying let's check the
Just
facts.
calm the fuck down a second.
But you don't know who has been questioned.
Just calm.
Special forces and stuff.
This is the whole thing,
They've
right?
not
So
been
we
Googled.
don't know. Has she had any counselling? Has she had any therapy? What kind of environment is this girl being spoken to? Right, that's the whole point. So until we know that, we need to ascertain all the facts because neither of us know all the facts.
Not true.
Right?
I'm going off of literally what I know.
So basically, it's opinion and emotion, right? I'm guessing.
No, I'm going off of what I know.
But the point is, how do we gain all the facts? Can we find out whether she's had an opportunity to have counselling, to speak to people in a safe environment where she can be open and honest? We don't know what's behind the cameras. We don't know what's happening to her day to day in those situations where she's still in that situation. I'm not saying it's a straightforward situation, this whole thing, but to address something you said earlier on about what is being British and and being proud of being Britain, I will not be able to be proud of a country that condemns one of its citizens to death.
But did she
But your whole point is it's starting to be. I know we're going around in a circle and it's a bit repetitive now, but same again. Until she's given the opportunity to rehabilitate, to reform, then all we're doing is condemning someone. That's it. And this conversation could go on for 2, 3, 4 fucking days, and it's not gonna. We're not going to resolve it between the two of us. I'm not going to try and convince you to my opinion. I've stated my opinions, and
I respect you.
And I'm happy enough that I've done that.
Got heated though, didn't it?
I just don't want to be part of a country and be proud of being part of that country that can condemn someone.
I think, but who
at 15 years old was groomed and
But
brainwashed and has been denied an opportunity to rehabilitate, denied counselling, and denied the support that she should be getting as a victim.
A part of
I'm
the equation.
done on the subject.
A part of the equation, which has led for her to leave this country and go to another, is there has been something that country has been said to have offered her that she did not get here. So it's more of a case of looking at what she was offered, what sense of value, purpose, identity, etc. was she offered in the form of Syria that she was not offered here. And if it can be amended to adjusting this idea of what currently is Britishness for her and people like her that might be leading for them to choose to leave this country and join another one, how about we have the conversation and say, what the fuck is it that you are not getting from this country that's leading you to go over there?
Okay.
And let's address that.
Okay, has she had the opportunity to have that conversation?
She was interviewed for 10 motherfucking minutes.
From BBC News or fucking Sky News or anybody else, Stephen. This is the point. What we're doing, and if I'm getting animated now, I'm getting animated. Fuck it. What we're doing is we're saying to a victim, "Fuck you, we're condemning you." That's what we're saying, and I'll make that shit very clear. That's what we're doing. She hasn't been given anything. We've condemned. I don't give a shit how old she is now. She could be 40 now, but when all this happened, she was 15. Right? She was a victim. That's all that needs to be fucking said. 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, none of that shit fucking matters. This girl at 15 years old was a victim, and we're gonna deny her the chance for rehabilitation, for counselling, for therapy.
My problem is the same way that I just saw on the BBC news reporting, ISIS bride. BBC is trying to contextualize her as the ISIS bride, making it already seem like she's the evil one. You're trying to do the opposite. You're saying
I'm not.
you just said she's the victim.
How am I? I'm stating
You
what
just
it
said she's
fucking
the
is.
victim.
But because
You
she
don't know
fucking
she's
is,
the victim.
Stephen. Because she is at 15. Well, how do we find that shit out
We
then?
hope she's the victim.
But then how do we find that shit
We
out
don't
then?
know. This is what I'm talking about. Deal with the facts as
Well,
it
then
is.
give me a fucking solution rather than just saying deal with the facts. Deal with the facts. Let's find out the fucking facts. Let's provide the opportunity for her to have some rehabilitation.
I've just
'Cause
said.
otherwise we're going to go around in this intellectual bullshit conversation the whole fucking time. It is pointless.
So.
Good job you two in my classroom. Can you imagine all the detentions with swearing? Fucking hell, Stephen.
Listen,
this is
I need
this
to
is a
ask Amy
healthy
something.
discussion.
This is good.
Has this influenced your decision either way?
Yeah,
No, because there's a lot of swearing in that.
It's just
No,
like, we're not swearing at each other. We're
No,
just
I know you're not.
swearing
This
at-
is why.
situation.
But when I'm obviously as time very big advocate for education, been so important in this, and like you said, if we learn from this what's happened with her to stop and prevent future people joining, this is why it's so hard to have discussions with children about this and adults, because there's the subjective views of it, there's the law there's the victims, there's the grooming. So I think it's one of them that there's never going to be a definite black or white answer. I'm sorry, but there isn't.
Me and Stephen could have fun for days
Yeah.
and weeks on any subject.
I think that was more enjoyable for us three, just watching our fists were coming out.
Nah, this is
So
what
no,
it is.
I'm still on the
This is
fence.
what it's about.
And we don't have time to keep going on about
Still on
that.
the fence,
No,
and I
no,
have
no,
to
no.
be. So,
So I think
but thank you.
from what we've got left,
Yeah.
so I don't know how involved everyone can be in right-wing conspiracy. Like, I don't know how much.
This one for me was a very simple one. So I don't know how much everybody's seen on social media at the moment. Is that like there's a massive rise in right-wing conspiracy theories, right? So whether it be, and I'm not talking about flat earthers and stuff like that here. I'm just talking about like QAnon and all those kind of things. One of the main points I wanted to talk about specifically is the kind of the global elite paedophile conspiracy situation. Now, I said this earlier on, in every conspiracy, there is truth. My biggest issue with the latest conspiracies is that it's been so blown up and there's so much bullshit in there and there's so much unproven stuff in there that we're losing the truth of this. Now, I want to make this clear. I am not saying, because we know this is happening right now with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and Ghislaine Maxwell's been arrested and she's going to serve trial, and there's all kinds of deals happening, and there's been a load of other stuff that's been thrown out there. Now that's been dealt with, and I hope it's dealt with properly, and I hope these people are punished and justice is served, and the victims of paedophilia and sexual assault are helped. But what I find extremely troubling is we go from that to all of a sudden Tom Hanks is a paedophile and this person's a paedophile and that person's a paedophile, and any kind of truth and any kind of logic and any kind of fact amongst it all is completely gone, to the point where I've had to unfollow, I've had to remove myself from groups of friends due to these conspiracy theories that have sprung up from based on a tiny bit of truth to blow up to this crazy situation where you've now got all the other stuff tied in with this with QAnon, and I am the kind of person, when these situations occur and stuff like this pops up, I don't want to silence the other side. I want to understand the other side. So I'll watch the videos, I'll read the articles, I'll read the same stuff they're reading, whether it be propaganda, whatever you want to call it, I'll read it, because I need to understand how these people are forming their opinions, and I have to try and look at it, understanding that I have my biases and other people have their biases, but I read it and try and come to understanding of it. In amongst this whole QAnon stuff, there's the fake pandemic stuff, and there's protests happening to the point where this weekend, which made it really shocking for me, because I know good people that I would have thought were good liberal, and I'm going to say left wing, because I'm left wing, good people that are attending protests thinking that they're there for saving children and taking down these elite paedophile rings and trying to get rid of child exploitation and child sex trafficking, which are all worthy things that we should be fighting against and we should be trying to stop and we should be trying to end. But in that same protest, when there's a Thunderbolt flag, which is a fascist flag from British fascists from the 1930s that supported Hitler, and we're having people go into protests associating themselves with fascists. And I'm not making this shit up. You can Google it. You can do your own research into it. But that's concerning for me. That we're now at the point where the conspiracies have got so big and so outrageous that it's hard for normal people, and I don't think I know the truth fully, but I've spent a lot of time trying to read and watch and understand how these people are coming to the conclusions they're coming to. And it's getting to the point now where people will be called a paedophile because they decide to go silent. Someone's called a paedophile because they've been to an island. Someone's called a paedophile because they've got citizenship of Greece. And it's like, when do we get to the point of the truth of this and trying to cut through all the bullshit? And from my kind of research, it's scary, the people that people are associating themselves with, and the ideas that these people also associate themselves with, which are extreme hard right fascist ideology. We live in and it's a crazy one, because it's a crazy one at the moment. Whenever someone mentions Antifa and all these kind of things, and everything's blurred and everything's crazy, and it's like, we now live in an age where you have an anti-fascist. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're an anti-fascist, that makes you a fascist. And with fascism, it's very straightforward. There is no middle ground. You're either a fascist or you're not. And if you're not a fascist, you should be opposed to fascism. It's like, if you're either a racist or you're not. There's no middle ground. You can't be okay with racism, but I'm not a racist myself. And I think all this is springing out from the far right, and both sides have got their theories. And it's confusing the fuck for me how anyone can make an educated decision on this.
So what's your thing on the pedophilia? Which part exactly do you want to talk about?
The whole thing, but the biggest thing it's sprung from, the paedophilia, has been the one that's been the topic that's caught the most. I'm seeing most people share about. And it's
Pedophilia.
The paedophilia thing, yeah.
So do you think people who went to the island
This is tricky,
aren't
isn't it?
paedophiles?
I don't know.
Will you just Google Ghislaine Maxwell submarine? Just Google those 3 words.
But here's the thing.
One sec, let him finish his point. You just talked for a minute.
So I've just...
Here comes my good spelling.
Oh, don't worry about it. We won't watch.
It's spelled Ghislaine.
Yeah,
It'll predict it when you start putting it.
But I'm not denying
You've
that
missed off the first. It didn't go through, Phil.
they'll find it.
But put submarine at the end.
I'm not
You've
denying that
got
there's-
flight records from planes that went and landed on the island. So I've looked into this a lot. So Ghislaine Maxwell, her dad was a spy. She's been brought up in a family of agents. 2 sisters run an IT company for the CIA. So she has an island opposite Epstein's. Yeah, she's got a helicopter license. You don't need to log who you fly in and out on a helicopter. She also, which is what I'm just trying to see if we could find out. Apparently, there were submarine ports from island to island. So you could go to her island by helicopter and then submarine
I've read all this same
across to his island.
Mm-hmm.
So we know about people that went there on planes. Now, what it could be is that for the first however many years, they only had aeroplane access, and then everything went underwater. So how many people have been there that we don't know about? And how could you go to an island which is blatantly built and used for a particular thing and either not know about it? You can go stay there for a few days and then leave and not know that that's happening, or not be involved.
I understand the argument, and this is what I'm saying. It's difficult with all this, and I'm not denying that this is that a lot of this has happened, and I hope it's dealt with, and people face the repercussions, and the laws held up, and they're punished. But same again, like, we don't know. So I'm going to create, and I'm fucking have to play devil's advocate, and I hate talking on this subject because it leaves me open for, it's a vector for attack for people. And a lot of the time it's people that aren't very educated that tend to attack. I'm not saying that's the case here at all. I'm just saying I'm not. It's just why I don't talk about it. It's why you'll not see me talk about this on social media.
Yeah.
But same again, like, we know, and I'm gonna guilty by association. So if you're creating an extreme paedophile ring, an elite paedophile ring, and you want to go on and diddle kids, which I don't doubt happens. We fucking know it happens. With enough, it's not even up for debate that it happens. But let's just say you're a rich A-list celebrity and you get invited out to schmooze and rub shoulders with billionaires, get flown out in a private jet, set up in the best. They get that shit all the time. Once you go there, and then find out something happens, it's like, well, if I go down, you go down. It's an argument to be made. I'm not going to die on that. That's not the hill I'm going to die on, that idea. But it's anyone that's been to that island. Are we saying that anyone that's been to that island is a paedophile?
So you're saying someone who's been there once and never went back
But we
could
don't-
have found out what it was about and then just got them sent out?
But then, Sim, again, you could also make the argument, and Sim, again, these are not my ideas. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
You could also say that once you're there, well, that's it. We fucking got you. If we go down, you go down, and we're
Yeah,
too
yeah.
powerful to get caught by this, and we need.
It's a blackmail.
And if we need a patsy, then we've got you.
idea.
That's the thing.
Blackmail 100% plays a part in this, definitely, and it's. So I've done a lot of research on this, and from everything I've heard and everything I've read and everything I've seen, my opinion is they go to this island and they're presented with these girls who are old enough, and then they're told afterwards that they're not old enough.
Yeah.
And I do think that there's an element of this. So this is what I'm saying. If you go there once and then you never go back, that's different to Prince Andrew who went there 12 times. 12
I think
times that's
no one's
12 times
disagreement
that's
there.
recorded on an aeroplane
Yeah.
flight. Yeah? So
Yeah.
we don't know what else has been going on. But if you're the person, so if I go to that island and I get there and then they say we've got these girls and I say,
Just
yeah,
so I'm clear, how young are we talking?
And can I add into
12,
that?
like
when,
12, 13, 14.
Wow.
and when you said we tell them afterwards, just to like be a bit clear what,
That the girls are underage.
but when do they,
They
get
didn't know
told
they were
that's what I'm
fucking
saying?
12, 13, 14 at first.
If you look at some of the pictures, some of the girls do look older. But in America, is it older than 16 anyway?
Fuck knows, mate.
It's
I'm
different
It's
states,
18.
different laws.
So at what stage?
I was saying
It's
that, but he's on this
yeah. You
island
get married
anyway,
at
which
14 or
is
something.
not in America. It's
Yeah, but it's a fucked up
stage?
situation, this whole thing.
Yeah.
But and no doubt there's some disgusting, depraved, horrible shit that's happening there. But I don't understand how we've got to this point where Woody from Toy Story is
question,
now a
actually.
paedophile.
yeah.
Can you answer my question,
but
please?
Sorry, what did you say?
What
did
go
you
on.
say, babe?
I'm excited.
sorry,
Go
I'm
on
so
and listen
sorry.
to me. At what stage do they find out the real age?
I don't know whether it's,
Right.
We don't
whether
know
it's
that
on
these
the
are things we
island.
don't
Or,
know.
that's just so I don't know if that is
I'm
what
gonna slap
happened.
people if they don't listen to you in future.
But
this-
He never
from all the
listens. Slap
research
him.
I've done, my opinion is that that's what happened. They've been taken there, false pretenses, but then some of them will have known because they've gone back. But what I was trying to say is if you're that one person that goes and realises that something's sketchy and then you leave, if you don't do anything about that, if you don't pass that information on to anyone, then you're no better than
It
the
makes you
people that go
a
there on
bad
purpose.
person. It makes you a bad person. Yeah. If you know information and you don't, it's like, then it makes you a bad person. But then it's that same thing again. Like how much of this is guilty by association? We've got you now. We can blackmail you now because we're not going to go down. We're too powerful. We're rich, powerful people. Because that's the thing with all this stuff. When Epstein fell, it's like the whole thing. We've all seen the memes. Epstein didn't kill himself, or unlike
he
this,
didn't kill himself.
Unlike this picture.
Let me just get this
You know what I
straight
mean?
because
You've
I've
seen the memes, haven't you? But this is the thing. So we all know that most likely. Just to finish my point. That we all know that most likely. Yeah, we fucking know. I'm on the side of yes. Jeffrey Epstein was.
Oh,
And there's
I'm 100%.
Yeah,
he
I'm
didn't kill
100%
himself.
there.
Yeah,
Because there were powerful people wanted to silence him. But I don't think that it's as far-reaching in terms of a lot of the celebrities everyone thinks it is.
yeah.
I don't. Right. So the only clear case we know about is Prince Andrew. Is that yes or no?
Yes, yes, right. We
It's the
also,
only one that we know.
but remember, he
100%
doesn't sweat.
No,
And he was at
There's
Pizza Express that
more.
day.
So there's more people being spoke about, but not so much celebrities like
Politicians
high-rolling
and stuff.
politicians and bankers. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
So these other, so, fuck's sake, they're all. I'm confused. I don't pay enough attention. Pizzagate. Is that
Just Google
this?
Pizzagate.
Is this
Yeah.
what it's linked to? Because
That's a QAnon conspiracy theory as well.
So this idea about there's a pizza shop in Hollywood.
It's the way that they
That's the
communicate.
front
So
and
they're
for
talking
certain
about
code they use.
they're
Sex
talking
trafficking.
about ordering pizzas and things like that. But it was just a code word.
I don't doubt that this is some depraved, horrible.
I
Fucking
don't
shit out
deprave.
there.
I don't.
It's trying to.
I don't
It's how do we
dispute-
ascertain the truth from
Click
this?
what is Pizzagate for?
What were you going to ask earlier? You said you were confused, and then
All right.
it never really
Well, there's-
came
Yeah,
out.
What
no,
is
I was
Pizzagate?
mainly
10
talking
facts
about
about
like
Pizzagate.
Yeah, that one, the second
celebrities.
one.
That'll
Top
do.
that.
Doesn't matter
Keep
where it's
talking.
from.
Yeah, I was really talking
No,
about like
it does,
celebrities
but for
who
the
have been
purposes here, it's
accused
just an example,
of. It's all right. Celebrities who have been accused, but is that predominantly just because they've been written on a flight log?
Yeah, I think that's where it's
That's the
coming from.
main. That's the main evidence that's put them at the forefront of being accused of being a pedophile.
That's why they're associated.
There's not. That's not backed up with victim testimony.
Well, there's
There's girls that have come forward.
But I've
and
said
spoke.
about like who's the names I've heard? Will Smith, Pharrell Williams.
No, I don't know. Any of
There's
those.
John Legend. There is Miss. It's like this is the thing. There's a lot of people that I think have been schmoozed and been rubbing shoulders with billionaires that I thought, what the fuck have I got myself into here? I think there's a lot of that, and yes, those people should be coming forward and saying what they know. But it's crazy. It's this. And how does anyone ascertain the truth for this? So what's further reaching this? What one of my biggest problems is once people get into that and they become bought and sold on that conspiracy theory, they start looking into the other conspiracy theories that QAnon and people of those type are putting out there, and that's when you then get this is a pandemic and people this is just, and then you get into the one world government and the new world order and shit like that. I miss the days when new world order was Hulk Hogan on WCW. Do you know what I mean? Like when that gets mentioned, I just think of like Hulk Hogan hulking up, and like now I'm forced with another conspiracy. And then you get into the 5G, and then you get into all the other kind of crap that's being pushed with it, and it's like that's my issue with this, because it's got to the point now where all the other conspiracies that have come along with it being pushed by these same people that people are buying into.
Do you remember the days of investigative journalism? Like investigative journalism.
I remember, but it's been a while.
I personally don't really remember the days, but I do know that
Ali G, he was a...
No, he wasn't.
He was a world famous,
journalist.
renowned. He was. Some
Well,
of the
we're
work
talking
that
about
Ali
like
G
bringing
did.
down Al Capone, I believe, and some like top dealers and drug lords and whatever the fuck. It
You
just
mean like the
big
RICO
things that
Act?
have happened.
That wasn't investigative
That was
journalism. That was
investigative-
that was the government and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I might be using bad examples, but I do know investigative journalism at a time
That had blokes
had
and
a
shit
po-
up in
had a point of really bringing to the forefront for public consciousness the facts about corruption and whatever. But they were backed by hard evidence, by months of investigation and things put together as truth. Now, I think the problem really is we're living in such a quick, fast-paced information immediate,
Very quick news cycle as well.
yeah, immediate, yeah, and we're living in a world that just it's all about clickbaits. You know, it's trying to get your attention. It's removing the it's removing what's the word
Nuance.
innocence. You're guilty immediately.
You're not innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty until proven
You're guilty until proven, and you're not even proven. To prove yourself as innocent is fucking damn near impossible nowadays. Hence, what is about cancel culture and shit. You know, this is as simple as it would be. All you would have to do is Google CD creepy man or something. Take an image. Open another tab. Google image of child crying. Take that same image. Put them up on Facebook. Create some caption of this story. A local pedophile has just been released from prison and he's out here. He attacked this child and he went away for 2-4 years or whatever the fuck it is. Watch your children. That'd get fucking share after share after share.
Aren't fact
People
checking.
liking it. Oh my God, look out for this guy. That's an actor. Or that's a movie character or something. That's as easy as it would be, but people will be out there believing it. You know?
But the hardest thing with this,
That's the current world we're living in.
He's dead right. He's dead right, because people want people. They just want a little bit of information that's confirmation bias,
Yep.
and that's it. And this is the thing with this. And to state again, like, I'm not anti-conspiracy. 10-15 years ago, I'd have been classed as a conspiracy theorist, and there are still a lot of conspiracies I believe that I would wholeheartedly say are true. And there's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of shady shit that happens in this world. And there's in the elite paedophile ring that's happening on Epstein Island and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of truth in that, and it's disgusting. The problem we've got is, just like Stephen said, with things like confirmation bias, people don't care about facts anymore. If it fits in with what they already believe, boom, straight away it's gone. And we see it all the time. And what's scary with this whole situation is it's the people. And this is the thing. I'm going to put this out there as well. If you throw enough shit at the wall, someone's going to stick, right?
Oh,
So-
if you,
so people
if
like
you
David-
accuse somebody of something and then dig deep enough into their history, you're gonna find something, and then it apparently will justify
That fits
all
it.
of the rest
But it's-
of the ridicule they've had.
Agree, but not.
Which is
but
bullshit.
I mean, if you're
Everyone's done shit.
and I'm going to say this right now, there are some things, a few things that David Icke has said, which have been pretty close to being true, and some have been true.
What's
But
that,
there's-
David Icke?
But there's a shit ton more, which are crazy crackpot conspiracies. Remember, this guy is the world's run by elite lizard people, the queens of lizard,
Yeah,
all
with
that
the
kind of shit.
eyes blinking in.
If you're like Alex Jones has said some stuff that's turned out to be true.
Yeah, if you
But
chat
same
shit
again,
enough.
he's also talking about gay frogs. Do you know what I mean? We're dealing with that same
know about
situation here. So this is the same thing with Pizzagate, and it is important, by the way, which article you pull up. But just for an example, it didn't really matter which article was pulled up,
Jimmy,
just
pull
so
up.
that people can have an understanding. But with
Sorry,
this whole
Joe Rogan
situation,
joke.
the truth doesn't matter anymore. If you can throw an accusation out there and enough people believe it, that becomes a truth. It's the same thing again where innocence or proven guilty is no longer a thing. Touching on cancel culture, anyone that listens to podcasts, and especially Joe Rogan, you'll know who Brian Callen is. Do you know the Brian Callen scandal? How he's been cancelled. Now with that situation, there's accusations made. I think she's since rescinded her accusations, but there's accusations been made, and since then, the guy hasn't stood trial, but in the court of public opinion,
Yeah.
the guy's lost his podcast, his
Yeah.
stand-up comedy tour.
He's
He's
lost his fucking
lost
life.
his job on the
Yeah.
Goldbergs. He's lost his spin-off show that came from it. Now, if that guy's guilty, then fair play. And I like Brian Callen. I've liked him for a long time. But if that guy's guilty, fair play, lose everything. But
He's
the guy
only
hasn't
one
stood
who's
trial.
been accused who's actually come forward directly
He
straight
spoke
away
out
to
about
have an interview. He had
And
an
that's-
interview on Steven Crowder's.
I watched it. I'm not a big fan of Steven Crowder, but I watched Steven
I like
Crowder
Steven
because
Crowder.
I watch it because I want to get
He
a
did
different
one where he
opinion.
was just talking into his phone as well, didn't he?
Who?
Brian Callen.
Brian Callen?
Yeah.
I think
Just
so.
debunking the whole thing, just
Yeah.
saying it's absolute.
But where I think it's interesting is his very good friend, one of his best friends, Chris D'Elia. But that Chris D'Elia
He's
situation,
also been accused
Cancelled.
now, hasn't
But
he?
there's a-
He's cancelled.
this is cancelled. But there's a lot of
But,
shady
yeah,
shit
because of
from.
an accusation.
But there's a lot of shady shit from there that I'm on the side of. It doesn't look good for Chris D'Elia. But I think with Brian Callen, a lot of that, it
He just
doesn't look
seems like
good.
a jackass when you look at
Yeah,
the
but
He
a
does.
lot of people have said that he did have girls back in his
Yeah.
dressing room
Yeah.
But
constantly.
none
and
of them
stuff.
none of them were too young.
No,
In fact,
but
one,
because he's built that reputation,
Yeah.
now it's
People
like,
are
well,
believing
it
it.
wouldn't
But that's
surprise
the
me
thing.
if he
It
has.
I'm not sure with the Chris D'Elia thing. I like Chris D'Elia. I like his stand-up. I'm not a big fan of his podcast, but I like his stand-up.
it's a reverse of me. I don't like his stand-up.
But same again with this whole. You not seen? Oh, what now? Man on Fire. But with this whole thing, it's like same again. Guilty bastard. You've had one person throw a second person at them, and it's that same thing again. It's like, when do we get the opportunity for people to actually stand trial and for real evidence
Yeah.
to come forward? And with that, that's when we then condemn people. and
That's
say,
the only point I
"You're-"
was making about investigative journalism. There was a process, and it was silent during the accumulation of evidence whilst the investigation was underway. It was silent. Public didn't know about it until there was enough substantial
And
evidence
that's the way
to
it needs
bring
to be.
forward. And then by that point, it's like, fucking hell, you've got 12 months to 2 years worth of 10
Yeah.
years worth of fucking
The
evidence.
problem with Epstein is he controlled very important people. So even
Yeah.
if there was investigations being done,
Yeah.
those people would either be paid off or disappeared.
And that's the thing about Epstein. Like, we know Epstein was.
How was he caught?
He-
How was he caught ultimately?
I don't know.
Because that
Was it
throws
one of the
into
girls
question-
that one of the girls that came
You
out?
know what? It's been such a while from this. Now there's so much information on my head that we need to Google it.
I don't know.
Yeah, Google
'Cause
how
obviously,
was- how was
if
Jeffrey
he is
Epstein
that
caught?
powerful, how the fuck did he get caught?
So when she was arrested, so she was in Brazil. She had no reason
Who's
to be.
she?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Okay.
So them two in it together. So she used to encourage the girls, like, oh, Jeffrey wants a massage. Come and do this. Come and do
So
that.
she'd get the girls.
So she'd coach them
Right,
and stuff,
right.
right? So she gets arrested in her house in America.
Mm-hmm.
So she bought this house for millions of pounds. Sat at home, had a food delivery, and everything's just normal. She gets arrested. She goes to court, and when she goes into court, people can't be in there because of lockdown, but there's voice recorders in there. And she walks in, and her reactions when she walks in is, how am I here? What am I doing here?
Yeah, 'cause she
Like,
had,
she's meant to be protected.
She was. She
So
was
she's-
involved in a
she's been
case
sold out,
earlier, a couple of years ago. Or
So
something.
he
She'd
went
been
to prison.
given
So he went to prison before.
anonymity. I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
it right.
Anonymity,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
did
That's
that.
you. I can't say it again. That's one of them
Yeah.
words people
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
pronounce.
But
That's it.
he went to prison for something years ago for this basically,
Yeah.
and part of it he said, I will plead guilty, and these are my conditions. I want every charge for everybody else dropped, including her. So everything was wiped, and he got, I don't know if it was like a year or something, but he'd sleep in the prison and then go home to his office and spend the day there, and then go back to the
Check
prison
back
to
in the
sleep.
evening, yeah.
So it wasn't even like a prison sentence, and he was still having girls brought to his office while he was in prison.
Okay.
So everything got dropped, so nothing was a continuation when this happened. But her attitude of, how am I here, makes you think, it was meant. This was meant to happen, but it's been described as, in like gangster films, where the guy knows he's been set up and they arrange the meeting at the end, and he goes there knowing that he's going to get killed, but this is the life he chose. This is the respectful end. That's how it's been described with where she is now. She's not going to talk. Her upbringing, her dad's job, her family involved with the CIA. There's no way she's going to talk about anything. But this is just how her story ends. And I don't think that she'll be killed because it's too obvious. Imagine if that happens again. Imagine if she commits suicide
It'd be far
again.
too obvious. Yeah.
So
and with the current state of civil unrest,
I thought she was going to get coronavirus.
That's what I was like.
Yeah.
'Cause like
Just
Harvey
be a
Weinstein
good
got corona, didn't
coincidence,
he?
wouldn't it?
Harvey Weinstein got coronavirus as
yeah.
well. This is the thing.
Does it say how
with
he
this
was
whole
caught?
situation?
Well, it was caught in 1980s, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's when he got his prison
away.
sentence.
Yeah. So he's always been a paedophile since then.
Yeah.
And they said he got arrested again in 2019 on federal charges of sex trafficking
Yeah.
in Florida and New York.
So it doesn't say how he was caught.
How he was caught, but
But then
obviously there's a big agenda with him, so there must be.
it's tricky, isn't it? It's tricky because, like, with these people, I mean, it's like anything, right? You could, he's associated with so many people, and this is the thing that I do want to point out as well. Just a little sidebar, and I'm not. Yes, maybe I'm attacking the far right here, but whenever I see a fascist flag and I see real fascists, I start to worry. But like, what's frustrating me with this whole thing is like we know, like that Donald Trump is associated with Epstein. We know that Donald Trump has said some stuff not unkind about Ghislaine Maxwell. And there's a lot of people out there going like, Donald Trump's our savior that's going to take this down. Like, he's just as guilty as everybody else with this whole situation. And I think this is the thing, because there are so many people involved, that it's really hard to ascertain the truth from this. It's really hard to find out what's truth and what's bullshit. And that's my biggest concern with this situation, because once people buy into it, they then start buying into everything else. Because we can sit here, we can sit here for hours and talk about this, and we ain't going to find out the truth. But then ultimately as well, that's I kind of feel that's how it should be. That people should stand fair and a fair and unbiased trial, and a fair and unbiased trial. I mean, it's like we all like. I'm going to show my age here, but we're the same age. Do you remember O.J. Simpson?
Yeah.
The whole O.J. Simpson thing, that was all over the press. It was virtually impossible for O.J. Simpson to have an unbiased trial.
Yeah.
Right. So he wrote a book that was pretty much if I did it, right? So we know most likely the guy's guilty. He was then found guilty in not in the court of law. It was the they sued him, and her family sued him, and they won. Civil court, thank you. Yeah, but with that, if we shouldn't know all these details until the trial is done and it comes out. And this is my thing at the moment. I do want to touch upon as well. When people talk about why are they not talking about this, why are they not talking about that, because we don't know, and it's just speculation. And I hate when the press speculate, and when the press like just use like they go, but what if this, and what about that, and what about this, and what about that. I hate it when the press do that.
Where can you get information from that's accurate?
But here's the thing: once the trial's happened, once they've been found guilty, then.
But you're going to hear things before the trial.
We're going to hear,
so
exactly.
who do you trust?
But the best thing we're going to hear. But if we,
you're not meant to.
But if we have anonymity involved in this,
look at him showing off, just throwing it out there. Anonymity.
There's words I can't.
I'm not even trying it.
There's
I got it
words I can't
once.
say.
I'm happy.
But that's the whole thing with this. It's a fucking minefield, and it's really, really tricky. But I'll be honest with you. If we're friends on Facebook and you're sharing conspiracy shit, I've unfollowed you.
Okay, well,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't deal with it anymore. I've lost really good friends over this, and I just can't be arsed anymore. And these are good people; they're not bad people.
See, conspiracy theories that I.
It's an opinion on it, it's just a different opinion.
Yeah. Okay.
But
look,
But it's not
one
just the
sec, one
difference
sec,
of
one sec,
opinion,
one
is
sec.
it goes further than that.
See, for me, the conspiracy theories that really require attention is like the smear campaign that happened on Jeremy Corbyn.
Agreed.
And if you're talking about the American context, there was Tulsi Gabbard who ran for Democrat elect. If you don't know about American politics, it don't really fucking matter. But Joe Biden is currently up against.
Joe Biden's the guy who said, if you're black and you don't vote for me, you're racist.
But in his running mate is Kamala Harris.
Has
anyone looked at the Kamala Harris's
one second, I'm
past?
just getting to that. One moment. So Tulsi Gabbard was a candidate for the Democrat Party in America, and she was so patriotic and so transparent and so she could answer your questions with no political dodging and bullshit.
Yep.
She was fucking converting Trumpers to her. You know, she was a genuine candidate for real change.
And
if
just
you
also
go-
as well,
one
she
second,
was
if you
military as well.
She was
military
military,
background, veteran.
If you was to go back and watch her interviews, she's fucking incredible. It started, in fact, just with an interview on Joe Rogan's podcast. I think it was like a joke made about her running for office, and then next time she came onto Joe Rogan's podcast, she was running. So, but anyway, so there's a clip on YouTube. I was just bringing it up to find the name of her opponent. There was all the president-elects debating.
For the Democrats. Well, they're not
for
the
the
president-elect,
Democrats,
it was the nominations for the Democratic candidate.
Sorry. Yeah,
How long's the video?
It's the clip is only
Harris?
it's Kamala Harris. The clip itself that I want to see is only about 30 seconds.
Do you want to look for it, Phil?
So,
Kamala Harris.
Type in Tulsi Gabbard rips Kamala Harris. Now, just for context, so
Just tell him that again.
Tulsi Gabbard,
As it sounds,
Tulsi Gabbard.
Gabbard.
How do you spell that surname?
It's Gabbard.
Rips.
Gabbard.
Gabbard. So basically, it'll get it. It'll be close enough.
What's the next?
Kamala,
With a
K-A-M-A-L-A.
K. You got it there. Tulsi.
No, K, not a C.
It don't matter. It'll
Doesn't
find
matter,
it.
it'll come up
There you go.
anyway.
So the top
Which
one,
one?
Kamala Harris rips. Yep. Adverts. Yeah, just for context. So Kamala Harris is a corrupt. She's a typical politician.
Her history. She was.
You can find it. Just play this clip. Sorry, I'll explain it. Yeah. Just pull it up. That's Kamala Harris. Pull it in. Oh, just pull it. You can't pull.
He can't see.
Oh,
the screen.
okay. Can I help you navigate then?
While you're doing that,
So just drag it in. Drag
No,
the
the
video.
mouse won't be there.
Oh right.
Should we not just listen to it now?
it's 8 minutes though.
Yeah, it's not the.
Oh, right,
It's
okay.
literally just like a 30-second clip I wanted to show you.
Is there a skip button, Phil?
In fact, if you press the numbers, I think the numbers skip it across.
How far
So if you
into
press
it
like
is it?
5.
So just go somewhere near the middle.
Okay, so this is the bit.
This is the bit. Yeah.
Now just stop it.
Cheers,
Right.
Phil.
There's a great there's a great
Yeah.
podcast series that I'd advise anyone to listen to. Go on Spotify. It's called the Wrongful Convictions Podcast, and it talks about people that there are people on there that will talk about Kamala
Thank you,
Harris's
Phil.
time, and how fucked up the judicial system. And there was people on death row that they were been proven guilty, but were proven innocent, and the state was hiding evidence. That's the situation
So-
with Kamala Harris. She's
Yeah.
just like
So the point I was trying to draw upon for that is Joe Biden's now against Trump for presidency, yeah, in 2020. He's elected Kamala Harris, the woman who just got slayed, as his vice president. Now, everyone agreed, all across the board, that she got absolutely ripped then. She had nothing in the form of a
that
good
interview
answer.
put her out of the race.
It put her out of the
essentially.
race. She dropped out like the day after. Now, Tulsi Gabbard demonstrated how fucking on point she is and how virtuous she is. She hasn't even stood a chance to be given the vice presidency because she doesn't fit their quota. She doesn't fit their.
She was also
status quo.
torpedoed by the press and the,
Yeah,
the
and she
Democratic
was
National
again.
Congress.
The press really tried to attack her character and destroy her public reputation, but they were unsuccessful.
Not just the press, the-
Unlike Jeremy Corbyn. What's that? I want to see my sexy self on camera. I want to watch this back. Sit back.
Hold on a second. I was just saying.
It was jokes. Yeah, but my point being, we've been talking deep.
I want to
for
add
a little
something.
humor.
When you're
So,
done, I want to
no,
add something.
but one last point, because I think those are the kind of conspiracy theories that we really need to take heed
Mike, I
of.
think you need to sit back.
I'm just comfortable leaning forward.
Okay,
You got to come further
I'll
forward.
sit forward.
The problem is, what Steve does is he cuts bits of these and makes his own videos out of them. So I feel like this is going to be one of those things. That's why
It's
he's.
going to be, yeah.
I
That's
did
why
that
he's
once,
wanting
didn't I? Yeah. So my point that I was getting at was whilst everyone's paying paying attention to the conspiracy theories about corporate fucking pedophiles and lizard people and shit. For me, it's more about the blatant corruption that is done to misrepresent people, to destroy people's reputation in the public image, just to make you vote in a particular way, to keep those who are in power to remain in power. It's like, I can't understand how this isn't so transparent for the public to see. Like, I don't think I've dedicated that much time into it, and I don't think I'm that particularly intelligent, so I don't understand how I seem to be able to see it, and it's blatant to me, but it seems to be such an obscure... Now, perhaps that's because those who are in power, by them being in power and the system being in such a structure remains, keeps other people in relative wealth and stuff. Perhaps that's what it is. But I don't know. I think those are the kind of instances of conspiracy theory that really require, that are not unjustified, first of all, and require more time and attention.
Can I add to a lot of what you've said?
Yeah.
So there's a big part of this, and there's a lot of similarities between, and I just want to make something clear. Like, I didn't want Biden and I didn't want Kamala Harris. I'd have been like, the DNC, the Democrats in America are just as corrupt as Republicans. There is no real choice. It's, the old saying of left or right wing. It's left wing or right wing. They're both wings of the same bird. Now, people got confused because that's very true about American politics, and it's playing out again right now. In 2016, when the corruption that took place to deny Bernie Sanders the Democrat ticket to run.
I think Trump was a spanner in the works. He
was a spanner in the works, but that's different. We're talking about before it got to that point. We're talking about that before it even got to Hillary running for president. There was corruption as fucking that, which essentially denied, and they've got evidence of this, denied Bernie Sanders the right to run as president, and then because they wanted Hillary in the first place, they got Hillary. At the start of this, they wanted Biden. It's always the same way. They'll have their they will have their candidate they want to run, and there is no real choice. Now, for my part, and I'm extremely politically motivated. Anyone that knows me, like, I'm a political activist. I'm extremely involved in politics, and I like to think I'm extremely well informed on politics. I have my biases, yes. I generally believe what people got confused with, because in America there is no fucking choice. There isn't. But I do believe that Biden and Kamala Harris need to become elected over Trump, and I've got reasons for that, and that's a different podcast. And I'm not just one of these people that hates Trump for the sake of it. I'm happy to debate anybody on the subject of Trump and the real reasons why I don't like him. What people got confused about in this...
Looks at me. I don't want to...
But what...
Watch Trump.
But that's fine, mate. And I'm sure we could have a great conversation about it. Maybe that's a subject for another conversation. Closer to the election in November, we can do one on here, me and you. But when it comes to British politics... When people made the assumption that there is no real choice, all politicians are saying, no, we had an opportunity in this country to have something very different. The country could have been a very different place now. We've had 10 years of what we've had with the Conservatives, and the situation is what the situation is. I don't want to get too involved in things. What people don't understand is that it wasn't... I'm trying to think of the best way to put this one.
See, for me, it wasn't even about that. It's not even saying that Jeremy was the best candidate. If we're talking about British politics,
it's that he never had a fair crack at the whip.
It's that he never. He
was taken apart by. He was taken apart by his own party. There was corruption in his own party, and we have the evidence now that his own party stood in his way. So the what's the word? The establishment of both parties. Because when you get down to it, of both parties, the establishment of both parties, which is the real power in this country, was prepared to sacrifice their own chances of winning an election to make sure that candidate who was voted for. This is the thing about the how Labour Party nominates candidates. Very different to the Conservative Party. It's a lot more democratic, and it's member funded, member voted for. There's a lot more members. This was the choice of the people in the party. I was one of those people. I voted for Jeremy Corbyn to become leader. That they couldn't control that, so they torpedoed him, and there was corruption within the party that stopped him and prevented him from becoming prime minister, because the establishment in the party, the power base in the party, didn't want him as the candidate. So this is how fucked up and undemocratic our politics is, and this is what you're talking about here. This is the stuff the conspiracies that we should be pissed off about. Okay, this is really fucking us on a day-to-day level. That the establishment will not allow a different kind of politics to go forward. Now, I'm not saying Jeremy Corbyn would have been the best thing that ever happened to this country, but I know one thing: if the policies that were being talked about would have been allowed to be put in place, this country would have been transformed. It would have been a better country. It would have been better for every single one of us. But the very fact that we know that it's not even conspiracy anymore, it's fucking out there in the press and no one even talks about it. The fact that the corruption is there, Stephen is fucking 100% right. These are the conspiracies that we should be concentrating on, that we should be putting all of our time and attention to, because we're being lied to on a daily basis and we don't do anything about it. Yeah. And I do believe that a lot of these QAnon stuff, has been put out there, and it's been allowed to breathe, and allowed to grow, and allowed to become bigger than it is, because it helps to take people's attention away from the fucking real stuff that we should be worrying about day to day. And that's not to say that child sex trafficking and paedophilia and all that kind of stuff, I'm not condoning it. It's disgusting, and and these people should be punished. But all the wild shit that surrounds it, all the other crazy conspiracies that are attached to it, people are spending all their time fighting for that shit when we could be fighting for, when we have our opportunity to fight for real change in this country. In 2011, when we had an opportunity for electoral reform, to get an actual real, let me just finish, a real democratic process of proportional representation. We can Google it if you want, that would have shown a better version of democracy in this country. Recently, last week, the Conservative Party have removed and got rid of the Electoral Reform Commission in this country. And if nobody understands how fucking corrupt and disgusting is and how that completely strips away our hope of real democracy in this country, that's a problem. But it's not being talked about. It's not in the papers being talked about all the time. It's not being shared on social media. They're the conspiracies. That's the shit that we should be angry about. Not to say that we shouldn't be angry about the paedophile stuff and the child sex trafficking, but the stuff that we can affect, that we do nothing about.
Yeah.
I'm done. Sorry.
Did you guys want to say anything?
No.
We've done it again, mate. We've talked.
I've tried to.
We've been as bad as each other.
I've been trying to pull them in, motherfucker. I don't hear you say. Amy once.
I don't do politics.
You should do, because politics does you.
Yeah, I did like that when you said that last time. My thing of it is like, because there's two parts. There's like the conspiracy stuff. It's big worldly stuff. If it's real, it's like it's a really big problem. So conspiracies, the ones that everyone's focusing on, true from fiction. But again, I think there's people more qualified than Tim with his 1 GCSE and Snaggletooth to figure that out. I think also there's the predicament of people's attention. It's like this time we've had during lockdown. Granted, a lot of people have been locked indoors. However, I've seen a real growth in people that have just taken up walking as a hobby. So like that's their way of kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of people I know that do it. My mum's got mad with it. But anyway, point is,
it's because you keep driving her car though, isn't it?
No, that's not her car outside.
Oh,
it's a shit car.
Oh, okay.
But it's mine.
Okay.
I can't talk my car shit as well, mate. It's fine.
But my only point was like people seem to be finding purpose in these big conspiracy theories. It's like a way to occupy their time, occupy their mind. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's an avoidance of handling shit that's going on in themselves, or if it's just the entertainment quality, or if it's the public status that comes with getting involved in it. I don't know, but I do know that there's that shit that you can't fucking affect, and then there's your shit. Like, you've got time to learn a new language, change your career if so, you know, or at least begin the steps, build better relationships with your kids or with your family. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like you've got some time. A lot of people have been on furlough. They've had time to kind of assess themselves. My girl's done that.
Here he goes again.
Here we go. I think that's like the final
Hey,
note, isn't it?
baby.
Back
Don't
to the
let
girl.
them bring you down, mate. But he's right
It's
though.
true though.
He's
She's
right
done
though.
it.
Final
It's
note
and I rate
today.
everyone that's
spoke
done
to her
that.
for like last 30 minutes.
No, I know.
This-
Don't give him the final note. Like,
When you touch upon the stuff that we can't affect, the stuff that we can affect in terms of British politics and British democracy, the people that are in power that are going to make decisions to prosecute these paedophile rings and the child sex traffickers, I have no faith that I don't have that much faith that it's not corrupt itself. But if we make better political decisions day to day to affect our country, and we don't allow the stuff that I talked about just before to happen, then we can elect better political leaders, better public servants to actually create real change in society so that we can prosecute better. I mean, we've got a situation where
I'm leaving it now.
But this the last thing I'll say on this, like Priti Patel, the Home Secretary, It's the whole thing about, well, this is the stuff that's getting snuck through that's not being talked about enough. The fact that because there's a backlog of trials, criminal prosecutions, they're trying to put in place, and I'm not sure if they've been successful or not, that to ease the backlog and to clear the backlog, to have people face trial without a jury. Now, you can Google that shit, it's 100% true, but it's not being talked about. The fact that we have that and no one's concerned about that. The fact I've seen people talk about human rights as if it's standing in the way of justice. Removing our human rights or allowing our human rights to be eroded is the biggest injustice that will ever happen to us. Losing our civil liberties and never getting them back. All these things that are in place, and some people, and a lot of these people are angry about those things, and they should be angry about those things, but they're getting distracted by all the other crazy shit that's going along with those conspiracy theories, because that's how they get them. These conspiracy theories will have bits that get them in, stuff you agree with, and then before you know it, it's on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And that tends to be the stuff they concentrate on, rather than the stuff that we can affect and we should be angry about and we should be protesting about and we should be burning the fucking system down for. But we're not. And that's my biggest... The last thing I'll say on this, I promise. My biggest issue with all these conspiracy theories, which is why I wanted to bring it up, is it is the biggest distraction away from the stuff that we can affect, that will make our lives better, that ultimately will then mean we can affect the stuff that people are currently angry about, if we actually concentrate on the stuff that we can control. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, and I'm going to stop talking now because I feel really bad. I don't feel bad, but I do feel bad.
Give him his own
don't
session on
feel
politics, what we need to do.
I say bring me and Stephen in to debate the whole Trump
I
thing.
don't know
I'm
too
well
much
up for
about
that.
Yeah, if you two do
I'm
politics, at
really
least
happy about
100% of the people that will be interested in the conversation. What do you think?
I won't be
It's just
there for
them
that.
two.
Yeah,
But
we'll
same
have
again,
our own, me and you.
this is the thing.
You said
on a
final
real,
thought.
did you guys
Shit.
did you as someone who's not really interested in politics, did you get anything from what we were saying?
I did,
Yeah?
I say I don't do politics. I do and I don't.
I know you're saying it's confusing as fuck.
The apathy's intended. This is the thing. The apathy, you thinking that you can't make a difference, you thinking that you don't understand it, that all this shit.
It's not that I don't feel
But
like
it's
I can make a
intended.
difference. Like, I've voted every time I've had an opportunity, and I work a lot with our local councillors to try and create change in my local community.
Local, are you looking at a local level rather than national?
And the funding
local
comes from
rather than
above in
national,
a general
but
elections.
I don't know. I just feel like Phil sent me a message earlier about how does it really matter who you vote for? Because does that change?
Yes, it does, because the only way we're going to get the changes is to vote for the changes.
but
Yeah,
like
we
you've
spoke
just
about
said,
this last
if you
time,
wanted
though, didn't we,
Corbyn
on
in
last
and then they've
But this-
corrupted
but
it
this
to
is
the
the
point
point.
where he's not going to get in, then what's the point
But
in?
my point is, these are the things that we
As
should
well.
be angry about.
We've been voting for 100 years, and the world's still a piece of shit.
But then, do you understand
one time
though?
that voting seemed to have worked, or it seemed to have confused the fuck out of everyone? It was just after the...
Politics is the biggest distraction going.
When did the NHS come in? Was it
Well, I can start
1945?
it now.
1948.
It is.
No, I'm not
In the
saying it's
farms.
not, but we
But
spoke
that was
about
just
this
after the Second World War, right? And it was the biggest British confusing political vote at the time.
Who voted against it? Who were the biggest proponents voting against it? The Conservative
wasn't
Party.
Churchill
and
up in, at the time?
Yeah.
Churchill was up for
Churchill
election.
and the
And he
Conservative
lost
Party
against Labour.
were the
Like,
biggest
that was the
opponents
last time
against
I
it.
know of
But
that.
Phil, just one thing. So
politics. Shocked
Oh, that's
people.
it. You've been dragged into it now.
just
Phil.
one thing. So the reason why we say we've been voting for hundreds of years and politics hasn't changed is because we're allowing the situation to continue the way it's continued, where we're presented with realistically slightly dissimilar options. When
Voting doesn't really matter. 'Cause
but it does though, and I understand that point of view. I understand the apathy completely. I've been there myself. But the point with the situation is, until we actually become informed democratically and become informed on the electoral process, we're never going to be able to change it. So the apathy, lower voter turnout,
you think in 100 years from now, it'll still be...
not if we don't take action, not if we allow this to continue, because that's the whole thing. The biggest, but
Because we spoke about this last time.
the biggest reason
voting
things don't
system's
change.
all wrong. It's
Exactly.
built, yeah, but what I'm saying, we discussed it, didn't we? Like, the voting system isn't going to change because those that are
But
in
we
power are not going to
let
change
Amy
something
say
that's
it.
going
Not
to
allow it
take
to
them
change,
out.
yeah.
No, I know, but I just don't want to go through the same thing of repeating
Yeah,
the
yeah.
last
But
podcast.
it's-
Like we've discussed this.
But it's not an illusion though.
It is.
Well, mate, honestly, like it's
You say voting is an illusion.
Yeah. Because no matter
It's the illusion
no
of
matter who you
choice
vote
right now.
for, whoever they want in will be in.
but it's the illusion of choice right now.
Yeah,
That's
it's the
what we've
illusion of
got.
Choice.
and that's the point. We can change that,
So
but we refuse to. No, but it does. No,
What choice you make
but
will make
then
a difference.
fine, do nothing and see what happens. See what changes.
Well, I'll always do.
But that's the point. Then you can't be involved in the process. That's the whole point.
That's why I don't talk about politics. But I know that it is an illusion.
Yeah.
But it affects your everyday life.
Well, the only
Everything.
thing about
My life.
It does. Everything.
it
Well,
does.
name something in your life you don't
Does.
think it affects.
You pay taxes.
My kids.
The police.
Then of course, that
Education system. What happens if the government say that your kid can't go back to school unless they get vaccinated?
I'd be
That's
fucking-
politics.
They'll be staying home with me then.
but your kids go to school,
I'm
right?
saying,
But
you
But
know what I'm
every
saying?
law that you have to
You are
abide
directed-
by.
You are. I
is a
don't
political.
fuck with politics, but I'm affected by it. So
It's your fault.
I'm
The
forced to have
clothes,
to
the
take-
clothes you're wearing, the phone you're holding, the food you
Remember
ate
20
today.
minutes ago when they said
The house
we
you
aren't
live
saying any more?
But that's the point, though.
I've got a
Everything
question for you.
establishment
I'm going to have to
torpedoes it
stop
because we
this
keep
because it's
voting
not
for
going to be.
establishment. Yeah, let's move on
Yeah.
because I'll be here all night.
Well,
let's call it a day.
Yeah, we've got to call it a day because it's been about 4 hours.
Fucking hell.
I've got work in the morning.
Me
I've
too.
got to drive.
To
20 past 10 we
But
got here at
once
6.
again, though, I have fucking enjoyed the discussion.
We did the opposite this time, though. We started heavy last time and then got easy. We started easy and ended heavy this
I
time.
know, I was-
Third
Phil
time
wanted
lucky.
that, though.
So we'll have to come back again in another 2 months.
give us time to relax.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the topics and I'm going to give you them a month before
Yeah.
so you can do what you
Prep
want to
your
do
answers.
with them because it'd be good for like I love the way that you two go at each other.
But it's intellectual sparring, though. There's no malice
We're
or
not
hate in this,
intellectual.
man.
No, not
Is that
all.
what
I
you're
enjoy
saying?
this shit.
I do. I really love this shit.
That was the thing I was looking forward to.
I
the
actually
most
do
about it,
enjoy it.
But yeah,
Enjoy
it's
it.
always good to have you on. Like I
Yeah.
say, I wouldn't have invited you back if I didn't enjoy it the first time round. I think having the screen, what did we think to that?
I liked
I
it.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like it.
Okay.
I like that Phil. Phil number 1. Phil
Phil.
number 2.
I like the addition of Phil as well. I think it's been a
Wait a
good
minute.
addition.
Phil's additional Phil and I'm number 2.
Phil number 1. Phil. Yeah, come on.
You do
It
need
did
a
all the
monitor, though.
technical work and
To be-
everything.
to-
See, like,
He typed stuff into Google.
You just sat here and touched my knee.
Okay, so
yeah.
Look at these.
it was really good to have you all on.
Yes, thank you.
What we'll do is we'll book it in again. We'll come back again. Like I say, a couple of months. But
We
yeah,
didn't talk about Free Willy.
Free Willy. We'll put that on for next time.
Next time.
And yeah, you can tell us about your book next time
Yeah,
as well.
no worries, man.
We'll
Thank
do
you
some of
for
that
having us
stuff.
back.
When's it out?
And every time them two swear, we take a shot next time.
Yeah.
But it's
You
not,
can make a
it's
drinking
not,
game if
It's
you
not
want.
swearing
If I
for.
drive, I'll be sleeping in my car.
It's
Can I
not
sleep on the
swearing for
couch?
anything other than just like it's in the conversation. There's no insults intended. In it.
No,
I know,
absolutely.
I'm not complaining.
I'm with you. I recognize the difference between angry and idea or getting
I
passionate
know that
about
you guys
concept.
do this on
Then
purpose,
it
so
eats
you
you
wait
up.
for me to say nice things about you to end the podcast, and then you start talking again. Like I'm going to say
Okay.
more
Thanks
nice
for having me
things.
on, Phil. It's
So-
been
Thank you,
I really
Phil.
appreciate
Love
Will
it.
you,
all
Phil.
just
Thank
get
you,
the-
Phil.
Will you all get the fuck out of my studio now?
Bye, Phil.
Gladly.